Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, if you own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles, listen up. Car Shield is a low-cost monthly vehicle protection plan now available to you. This protection plan is at an all-time low price. Please call 800-925-7584 for a free quote. Drivers who activate today will also receive free roadside assistance and towing at no additional cost. That is 800-925-7584 right now. On this Friday, left-wing panic beginning to set in as the inevitability of Donald Trump heading the Republican ticket for a third time becomes reality. The liberal media has always underestimated Trump's shrewdness in tapping into the disenchantment of traditional-minded Americans, and that's what's happening now. Millions of voters are seething at a country that routinely disrespects them. Racial preferences in hiring and college admissions, gender bending in full view of children, the mocking of religion, excessive taxation, failure to enforce the law, all of these things stimulate anger, not just disagreement. Nikki Haley, a conservative woman, understands the issues but does not know how to tap into traditional angst. Trump is a master at that. And so the nation faces hatred on both sides as the left despises the MAGA mindset. America is also experiencing a tremendously incompetent president whose far-left posture and fuzzy demeanor is causing significant harm. Even those who dislike Donald Trump should understand the nation's decline in 3 years under Biden. The gamblers have Mr. Trump the favorite to win. That might happen. Back after this. If you thought booking your timeshare was difficult before, you know it's almost impossible now. For more than a decade, Lone Star Transfer has helped thousands of owners legally and permanently get out of their never-ending timeshare fees. Lone Star Transfer guarantees the release of all liability to your timeshare in writing and in a specific time frame. For free, no-obligation consultation, please call 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Welcome home to St. Louis's new choice
for conservative talk.
They always have great conversations.
News, analysis, and opinion.
Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
We're going to come together. We're going to drill, baby, drill right away. We're going to seal up the border.
Has Donald Trump ever felt pressure from the media conglomerate and from the big donors? No. He's going to do what he thinks is in the best interest of the country.
101.9 and 94.1.
My news station.
News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, friends, if nothing else, this has been an unexpected and unpredictable week. Okay, hear me out here. Here's what I'm talking about. If you had told me on Monday, hey, you know what I think is going to happen? I think that the Republican establishment in the Missouri legislature is going to go after the Freedom Caucus, and they're going to try to purge the most conservative members out of any sort of influence or power, and even to the point of trying to personally humiliate them in statewide media. I would have said, oh, come on, they're not getting along that well, but they're not going to do anything like that. Well, and I would have been wrong, and here we are. and right around 6:05 here, so about about another 30 minutes or so. Our good friend Tim Jones, former Speaker of the House, now hosting the afternoon show here on News Talk STL with Chris Arps. He joins us, and Tim, believe me, he's still fired up over this. Where do we go from here, and why is this getting so much national attention from other conservatives? We're talking about that just ahead. Hey, good morning. I'm Mike Ferguson. We had a great conversation because there's a Freedom Caucus in Illinois, too, and Representative David Freiss joined us to kind of give us the update on what the fight for freedom, or at least the fight against more authoritarianism, looks like in the Illinois side of the News Talk STL listening area right now, and they're up against some big odds. Here's the update.
I'm thrilled to know there is an Illinois Freedom Caucus, and man, you talk about Sisyphus trying to push the rock up the mountain. You know, that's what you guys are dealing with. So many things to cover right now. Let me start with basically the city of Chicago basically starting to cry uncle, but wanting to do it without losing face for the Biden administration. And we can say, sure, that proves our point when it comes to illegal immigration. But the fact of the matter is, you all have to deal with the cost, and this is affecting the entire state, not just Chicago. What's the status and what needs to change right now? Because I know there's a call for more hearings and more transparency, but where are we with this?
Yeah, great question. And here's where I said we were actually up in Chicago on Martin Luther King Day, some members of the Freedom Caucus. And here's the way I see this. I don't think the city of Chicago would really care about the numbers, but for the fact that they got to foot the bill and the state of Illinois has to foot the bill. That's why Pritzker's upset. If the federal government would fund this, I don't think they would care. I really think they're trying to change the demographics of our country. You never hear anybody say close the borders on that side of the aisle. And now, because Biden has checked out, figuratively and literally, we're going to be stuck paying this, and it is unfortunate.
What kind of numbers are we talking about potentially?
Oh my gosh, you know what? I don't know that anybody knows. I mean, you hear numbers that the governor is dedicated X number of $1 million towards this. The mayor is doing this as well, but that I don't think that we'll ever get a true accurate number, because one of the things you got to take into account is not only the direct funding for housing and food and things of that nature, but what is it going to do to our school system? What is it going to do to our hospitals? Because if somebody gets sick, they go to the hospital, and we don't turn people away at our ERs. So the state is going to pick up that tab as well. So it's going to be in the millions and billions of dollars.
Good morning, David. Gabe Pfeiffer here. So changing gears just a little bit, we're going to talk about school choice. It's National School Choice Week, right? But J.B. Pritzker and his Dem buddies there do not approve of any such ideas. How goes the fight in Illinois?
This was even in the Wall Street Journal on the Pritzker's opposition to basically any private education.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, and here's the hypocritical part about this is they're all for school choice for everybody but you and me. They don't send their kids to public school. They send their kids to private school. Even the new director of the Chicago district up there, she sends her kids to private school. And it's really unfortunate because the Invest in Kids Act, they really helped disadvantaged kids in districts where the public school system is failing them. It's really sad. They become beholden to the teachers union.
Yeah, when you look at just the overall results, that's what's so amazing to me. We're speaking with State Representative David Freiss from Illinois, member of the Illinois Freedom Caucus. You would think that in a city like Chicago in particular, my childhood was Decatur. I also lived at Camp Point, I lived in Quincy, and I lived in Pittsfield. So, I feel like I know different parts of, Illinois pretty well. But in some areas, the schools are failing so bad that it truly is political tribalism over how can you not be okay with this? Even on the Missouri side, St. Louis Democrats are fine with some school choice in their area. But in Illinois, it's just basically become political subdivisions and political entities defending their turf.
Yeah, and I actually did an interview with some teacher union guys, and we were talking about this. We have choice when it comes to every aspect in our lives, including college education. You know, if you want to go to college in the state of Illinois, you can pick a trade school, you can pick a state school, you can spend as little or as much as you want. Okay, and there's grants, and we the taxpayers still footing the bill for colleges because believe me, I've been in and on these budget negotiations. Why can we not give kids in disadvantaged areas that are in districts that are failing not only kids but the parents? Because if you want to succeed in life, the first and foremost, you've got to have a good education. I mean, that is the biggest indicator right there. Let's give these kids some choice. Even what do they call these magnet schools up there in Chicago? My understanding is Johnson wants to shut those down too.
You know, one of the most, I guess, pernicious and vicious attacks against school choice is that it's somehow racist, which I think is completely backwards. How do you respond when they make that sort of accusation?
Well, here's what I've learned since I've been in Springfield. If they want to shut you down, if they want to shut the debate down, they just call you a racist or a sexist or a homophobe. And you can't, I mean, how do you disprove a negative? So this is where we're at, because there is no good argument against school choice. They just call you a racist, even though there's factually nothing to support that, and it shuts the debate down.
We're visiting once again with State Representative David Freiss from Illinois. I know that and you're going to have to bring me up to date on this, Representative. This has to do with the ethics discussions and the ethics regulations. Like many states, I don't want to single out Illinois, although I do appreciate Illinois' longstanding tradition of throwing former politicians in prison, which you've been doing since I was a kid in Decatur.
Yeah,
you know,
appreciate that.
And so I wish more states would follow that lead, but.
Because when you ask for his cell phone number, you wind up getting the cell number.
Exactly. So, but when it comes to ethics, I know there's a debate and some proposals to improve the ethics rules among, the political process. Where is that right now? Because, there were some recent things with the former speaker and everything that goes along with that. But, for those who are trying to get caught up, where is that standing right now and how did we get here?
Well, we as Republicans have proposed several bills that would try to rein in this. And one of the things that we would like is we would like stiffer investigations when there are allegations of corruption. But, where this debate is at is actually it's dead on arrival because the Democrats are not interested in making any substantive reforms. And it's unfortunate because there's for all the talk of bipartisanship, and you guys have talked about it, the black eye that the state of Illinois has for known corruption, you would think that somebody would want to get in front of this and stop this. But I don't see any true substantive ethics reform going anywhere in the near future.
When you look at the legislative session, which you're into your second or third week of this year's session, pretty still fresh legislative session. It's got that new legislative session smell still.
Yeah. So you talked about it. So we were actually in Springfield. We were scheduled to be there for 3 days. Even before we got there, we're like, there's nothing on the calendar, nothing going on. So we were supposed to be there Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We knew, or we had a pretty good feeling that we were not going to be there Thursday. We show up Tuesday, Wednesday, did absolutely nothing, didn't introduce a single bill, didn't have a single committee hearing. The only thing that happened was there was a couple JCAR meetings. So we did absolutely nothing for 2 days, wasted everybody's time and money, and including yours as a taxpayer.
And when you look at what's ahead from the Freedom Caucus perspective, I mean, what's on your all's top priority list that you would say is something that realistically could be done even in a blue state?
Oh man, yeah, that is a trick question if I've ever heard one.
I am the media. You have to be aware.
I wish I had something that I could tell you that we really believe that we could move forward. And it's not just because the Freedom Caucus, it's because of the supermajorities that the Democrats hold in both chambers, and the fact that we've got Pritzker. Anything of real substantive, be it reform, tax reform, workers' compensation, unemployment insurance, any of that would help, in my opinion, the working people and businesses in the state of Illinois is not going to go anywhere. And especially now, and I'm relatively still new to this game and I'm learning, nothing's going to happen at least prior to the primaries, because everybody's scared that if they vote for or against a certain bill, that's going to be the next mailer against, somebody, and it's going to, their constituents are going to hold it against it. So nothing of any real substance is going to move prior to the primary.
That news roundup comes your way here in just about 2 minutes and 22 seconds. And then we've got former Speaker Tim Jones. Let's talk about this Freedom Caucus versus the other Republicans mess in the Missouri legislature. And more importantly, where do we go from here? And when I say we, I'm talking about the conservative movement with or without the Republican Party. Let's talk about it just ahead.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Free speech is alive and well in America.
Thanks for taking my call.
Right here.
My point about the governor there, it is absolutely about power.
I read this, I almost fell out of my chair.
News Talk STL.
This thing is just absolutely dripping with irony.
News, analysis, opinion.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
You can't buy a best friend. You can love them, walk them, pet them, and care for them, whether they want you to or not. You can take a picture or 50. You can fly to the moon, travel the world, or just stay in bed. You can't buy a best friend like that. But you can adopt one. There are millions of pets waiting for a best friend just like you. Help us save them all at bestfriends.org.
This news update brought to you by Anton's Plumbing and HVAC. Call Anton's at 314-338-3941 or visit them at antonshvac.com.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, happy Friday, y'all.
Yes, indeed.
Yep. We've gone from filibusters to expel him pretty fast. Now, if nothing else, this has been an eventful Missouri legislative session so far.
Indeed.
Kind of like reality TV is eventful. Sort of vapid and empty. Nothing's happening, but people watch it. Also, the legal fight for Mark McCloskey is not over. He's going back to court.
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you hear about this?
No, I did not.
Okay, I'm going to fill you in here in just a minute. And also, you know what? Because, gosh darn it, this is Missouri. Let's make duels great again.
Yes, indeed. Yosemite Sam says, bring it on, you varmint.
Oh, my goodness. It is 5:49 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Got Estelle Ponticus here. Okay, so now one of the Missouri Senate leaders says she'd like to see Bill Eigel expelled from the body.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah. Senator Cindy O'Loughlin made those comments on Thursday to reporters. She was at a big, reporters meeting convention, and she said that. She then acknowledged that it's highly unlikely that she will be able to find enough votes to do that. And after Caleb Rowden, Cindy O'Loughlin is the second highest-ranking member of the Senate, openly calling for the expulsion of her political opponent. And by the way, her political opponent is in the same party that she is in. So that's where we are now in the Missouri Senate. Good God. All right. We're going to talk to Tim Jones about that here in about 15 minutes or so. I'm pretty sure that, and I haven't talked to Tim since this happened, I'm pretty sure he's going to have an opinion.
I think so.
And that Tim has been fired up all week, man. You just kind of set him loose, and he has got a lot to say. Okay. Texas and the White House continue their legal fight over the southern border. Of course, remember earlier this week, the Supreme Court gave the Biden administration a win, saying that they could legally take down the razor wire that was put up along the Texas southern border. Governor Greg Abbott pushing back, saying the state is going to put up more wire, and they've actually already begun to put up more wire. On America's Newsroom on Fox, Texas Governor Greg Abbott says doing that is within their right of self-defense.
Because the Biden administration has really truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws, Texas very simply is securing the border.
Okay, get this, Estelle.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what the White House is saying right now. The administration says the wire is interfering with federal border agents' ability to handle the influx of illegal immigrants going into the United States.
No, it's interfering with their stupid idea to just open the border to everyone.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're doing that too. Yeah. Good God. All right.
But by the way,
yeah.
does that not go to a court decision on February 5th? Something like that?
Yeah, there's another hearing. There's something in the works.
Okay,
on
I think it's February 5th.
That
so
sounds right.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a standoff until then. That
Yeah.
they're just going to stand back and go, all right.
You know, and the thing is, the Border Patrol agents are like, come on, they're doing the job for us. Just leave the dang wire up.
Mm-hmm.
It's working. Oh, man. So the Border Patrol agents are getting caught up in this. I mean, if they get an order, to come down and do that, that's what they got to do. I mean, I would love to see some go, oh, can't come to work today on wire cutting day. Oh, geez. All right. Okay, number of Americans filing for jobless benefits went, what do you think, up or down, Stel?
Well, I'm going to say probably down.
Nope.
The Labor Department says applications for unemployment benefits rose to 214,000 for the week ending January 20th. That was an increase of 25,000 from the previous week. Overall, 1.83 million Americans were collecting jobless benefits during the week that ended January 13th. That's an increase of 27,000 from the previous week. Weekly unemployment claims are viewed as representative for the number of U.S. layoffs in a given week. Bob Agnew reporting.
And there's actually some other big layoffs happening around the Midwest. You hear about this aluminum smelter in southeast Missouri?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's going to be hundreds of jobs as well. So we're seeing little weaknesses throughout the economy, particularly in the manufacturing center.
And I think Microsoft's another one
Yeah.
with a bunch of layoffs coming up.
Yeah, and they've been kind of sending the warning for a while now, like, hey, just heads up, just heads up. So things are shakier than what I think a lot of people would like. The numbers do show that we're better off than we were 6 months ago, a year ago, maybe even 18 months ago. But there's a lot of shakiness right there. So
And I hate go ahead.
Don't go free spending all your stuff right now.
Yeah, and I hate to be Mr. Negative guy, but these numbers always get revised the next month or two later. Oh yeah, by the way, we revised the employment numbers. We revised this. We revised that. And they always wind up being worse numbers than previously.
Thanks, Mr. Negative Numbers guy.
I'll put that on my business card.
There you go. Exactly. All right. The Hawaii legislature. We got another state that's dealing with a fight over Donald Trump on the ballot. Hawaii this time. They are debating and considering a bill that would ban candidates who, and this is their language, engage in insurrection or rebellion from their state's primary ballot. The way that this is written, it would ban Donald Trump from the ballot. We all know what that's all about. On the Faulkner Focus on Fox, Missouri, Senator Josh Hawley had something to say about that.
They're telling voters, we don't want you to have the choice. We don't want you to be able to elect the president of your choice. We don't want you to even be able to weigh the options. We're going to take it away from you. We're going to decide beforehand who can be on the ballot, who can't, who can be president, who can't. It is totally, radically unconstitutional.
You know, at this point, I'm not even sure what the blue states who are doing this are standing to gain from it. I mean, it's a virtue signal. I don't know, maybe to donors or something, but I don't even know what they're going to gain. The U.S. Supreme Court's going to rule on it and very likely rule against them all.
Yes, and anytime we have this situation come up, Trump's ratings continue to climb.
And his donations.
And donations, that's right.
Donations, too. Yep. Okay, get this. Mark McCloskey wants his guns back and he wants his record cleared. Yeah, okay. So Mark filed a request for an expungement of his misdemeanor that was related to the standoff with Black Lives Matter protesters. And, of course, remember, they tore down an iron fence and marched through the private neighborhood in 2020, which, by the way, that's what happened, but you will never see that described in any sort of local media reports. They say when Mark and Patricia McCloskey brandished their weapons at protesters against, over the George Floyd thing, they forget all the other part. But anyway, that's another thing. So you remember, as part of the deal, though, Mark pled guilty to the misdemeanor, and he was then pardoned by Governor Parson. Now, because he actually pled to the charge, the courts have denied his request to give him his property back so far. You can hear Mark every Sunday afternoon at 5 o'clock right here on News Talk STL.
I'm guessing he'll be on fire.
I think so. I think that he actually will. All right, let's see here. What else we got going on here? Over 100 puppies are going to soon be available for adoption through the Animal Protective Association in Brentwood, which is where Rachel and I found Rosie. Matter of fact, and my daughter found her cat, Toothless. The pups have been surrendered by multiple commercial breeders throughout southern Missouri. APA has about 20 of them at the shelter right now. They're kind of getting them ready, doing their veterinarian checks and all that kind of stuff. They could be, those 20 or so could be ready for adoption as early as tomorrow, though. More information at apamo.org, right there on Hanley Road. It's a nice facility out there.
Missouri's had a reputation for years of being a puppy mill state.
Oh, yeah.
And it's serious.
And I couldn't find any additional information on these pups, but it could be from something like that. Yeah. All right, the Blues wrap up their 3-game road trip tonight in Seattle. Tonight's game is the late one for the NHL again. Starts at 9 o'clock our time. Blues have won their last 3 games. They've had to fight like crazy to get those last couple of wins, but they've won them. Blues versus who?
The Kraken.
Kraken on ESPN+.
To all our incredible supporters, we at the David Dorn Foundation say thank you. Your 5-star online reviews that you recently posted are beacons of encouragement on our mission to assist first responders. And a shout out to Steve Katraba, who reviewed us with these powerful words. The Dorn Foundation continues to fill a need in the public safety community and thereby to the public. Steve, your words are more than a review. They show the impact we're making for first responders. To read more strong reviews, Google the Dorn Foundation now.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
Missouri education officials must be bad poker players. They keep doubling down on the same bad bet. Public school students haven't been reading or doing math at their grade level for way too long. Last year, a horrifying 40% were regarded as not college or career ready after high school. Many states have adopted school choice. Iowa, Oklahoma, and Arkansas all provide money so families can choose the public or private school that works for them. And Kansas has one of the strongest public school choice programs in the nation. Nearly every family in Missouri has given exactly 2 choices for their children's education. They're assigned public school or learning online. That's it. Our neighbors trust their parents to choose the right school for their kids. Missouri doesn't. So enrollment is already shrinking. That will mean fewer high school graduates, college students, and workers. A bad bet indeed. Check out our 2024 blueprint, Moving Missouri Forward at ShowMeInstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. This is deadline day for Texas. The Biden administration has given the state 24 hours to relinquish control of Shelby Park, an unauthorized border crossing at Eagle Pass, the community overwhelmed by a flood of illegal aliens and drugs. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says President Biden has abdicated his constitutional responsibility to secure the border and enforce the law, so he says Texas is doing what it can. 25 states have rallied to Abbott's side. In addition to former President Trump, other Republicans, most notably House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senator Ted Cruz, are also backing Governor Abbott. The RNC may soon hop aboard the Trump for President bandwagon.
The Republican National Committee is expected to consider a resolution to declare Donald Trump the party's presumptive 2024 nominee, even though only 2 states have voted. A candidate needs 1,215 delegates to formally clinch the nomination. If approved, the measure would further solidify Trump's control of the party and its operation at a time when Nikki Haley is still competing against Trump for the GOP nomination. Haley raised $1 million after her second-place showing in New Hampshire. Calling Haley a bird brain, Trump says that anyone donating to her campaign would be permanently barred from the MAGA camp. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
He's going nowhere. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gerskovich, charged with espionage, will remain in a Russian prison at least till March, a Moscow court ordering his continued detention. The state of Alabama has used nitrogen gas to execute convicted killer Kenneth Smith, the first time this execution method was used in the U.S. And Britain's King Charles in the hospital in London this morning for prostate surgery. On Wall Street, Dow futures down 61 points. The NASDAQ futures are off 91 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
John Solomon provides exclusive reporting and newsmaker interviews on John Solomon Reports on the Salem Podcast Network.
We broke this story because we got the documents early. They put out this new information, and it affirms our reporting that this Democrat donor gave about $5 million or more in assistance to Hunter Biden. Basically paid off his bills.
Subscribe to John Solomon Reports today on Apple, Spotify, Google, Rumble, or at SalemPodcastNetwork.com.
5. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Senior Memorial. Give Benjamin Schaefer a call at 314-866-8686 or visit memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
I got an email which brought a smile. A woman named Mary wrote me, "We are purchasing a new roof from John Beal based on your recommendation." I thanked her then. I do it again now. Mary, I only endorse clients I believe in, and I've been a spokesman for John Beal for 10 years. It's all about trust. So if, like Mary, you need John Beal, trust me. Call 1-800-NEW-ROOF. 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
All your hard-earned tax dollars and mine are going to fund illegal aliens who come across the border penniless, jobless, skillless, and they're given a cell phone, an identity, and a cash stipend every month.
Mark McCloskey on fire.
That beats your Social Security income if you should have the good nature to work your ass off your whole life and retire.
Mark McCloskey on fire. Sundays at 5 on News Talk STL.
Brought to you in part by Modern Weapon Systems in Fenton.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
Thanks for being my voice in all this.
This is News Talk STL.
There are people out there that feel the way that I feel and say what I say.
Welcome home. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
It's Friday.
Okay, so we're now at the point where one establishment state senator says she'd like to see a fellow Republican. Let me go back a little bit. She'd like to see a fellow Republican expelled from the Senate.
This is wild. Excuse me, what are we doing now?
If this were Monday or Tuesday, I'd probably be coming in going, all right, we're going to get serious about this. Let's talk about this. 314-912. I'm raising my fist in anger, but I'm like Friday. I'm like, this is par for the course this year.
It's so
Missouri
wild.
Oh.
Is he going to challenge her to a duel?
Yeah, we'll get to that later.
Okay.
We'll get to that later.
All right.
Oh, yes, we will talk about making duels great again in
Yes,
this country.
let's go.
Okay, News Talk STL, best weekend programming ever on News Talk. Randy Tobler Show, Saturday morning from 6 to 9 o'clock live right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. All right, a guy who's been there and done that when it comes to the state legislature would be our very own afternoon host, Tim Jones, who joins us right now. And Tim, I got a list of like 3 or 4 things. We'll try to get to as much stuff as we can, but let's start with the update on the Freedom Caucus versus what Caleb Rowden is calling the true Republicans and that whole kerfuffle there. I want to get to Cindy Laughlin's comments here in just a minute. But when you look at yesterday, some of the things the Freedom Caucus are saying, you've got to prioritize this, initiative, petition reform, and things like that. Now aren't a couple of those, 1 or 2 of those actually moving through the process while the Freedom Caucus, of course, is, I don't know, being sent to detention or getting demerits or whatever Caleb Rowden's going to do next.
Well, good morning, gentlemen. Yes, I'm actually speaking with you this morning from the great state of Georgia. I am here at an anti-ESG conference with a lot of our friends and people that you all speak with often. Grover Norquist is here. Lisa Nelson, who runs the American Legislative Exchange Council, is here. A lot of great leaders from across the country. And let me tell you, the reason I mention all that is I walked in last night. It was like the welcoming hero coming home. They were like, hell yeah, Missouri. They were so excited about everything that's happened this week. And Mike, you And everyone else on our station has really hit the nail on the head with this. I was listening to you all yesterday as I was driving to the airport, and I heard your awesome interview with fellow Freedom Caucus member, Representative David Freiss over there in the great state of, the once great state of Illinois. And I heard your analysis of then what was going on here in Missouri, and you've got it figured out. I read Susie Moore's article yesterday. Susie Moore, of course, editor at Red State. I have not spoken with Susie yet about what's going on in Jefferson City, but I would urge everyone to read the article that she wrote on Red State because she hit the nail on the head. Mike, you hit the nail on the head. You all have figured out what's going on. We've been talking about this for years. There is an establishment swamp in Jefferson City, just like there is in Washington, D.C. I'm sorry to tell people this. I hope this is not breaking news to anyone. But in the 9 years since I left Jefferson City, I'm sorry to say that Republican leadership has lost its way. And here's the point. Here's how I can prove this point factually, scientifically. In the 9 years since I've left, we have grown our majority into a supermajority. We have the governor's mansion. We have all the Republican statewide offices. Why isn't Missouri passing all the big red Republican reforms to government that all of the other big red Republican states have been doing, right? That's the question. Why hasn't Caleb Rowden passed all of the bills through the Senate that they've done in Florida and Texas and Tennessee and Oklahoma? Why haven't we cut taxes more? Why haven't we reduced more regulations? Why don't we have more freedom and liberty? Why, Mike, last year when they got that one bill across the finish line to protect kids from the trans cult and to prevent biological dudes from playing in girls' sports, they got that one bill across the finish line. Why did Caleb Rowden make sure that there was a 4-year sunset on that bill? Isn't that the most insane thing you've ever heard? So we're only going to protect kids from the trans cult for 4 years. We're only going to say for 4 years it's okay to prevent dudes from playing in girls' sports. Why did he do that? Well, because Caleb Rowden is a wholly owned subsidiary of the Jefferson City Swamp. On that particular bill, he did exactly what the medical industrial complex wanted him to do. So I have to ask you, and you said that some bills have been referred. Finally, yes. Have you ever heard of obstructionists who want bills to pass? Yeah, that's the Missouri Freedom Caucus. This whole thing came down because the number one priority in this state for the last 5-6 years, while Caleb Rowden has been in the majority leader's office and now the president pro tem, has been to reform our initiative petition process. You've talked about it ad nauseum. Well, isn't it interesting that for the last 5 or 6 years, that's been the number one priority? It hasn't passed. And Caleb Rowden's been in a position where he could help get that passed. And so this year, we wake up, we go into session, and suddenly that's not a priority. Who or what got to Caleb Rowden and convinced him not to move those bills? The Missouri Freedom Caucus waited until the third week of session, and we've been wondering, why aren't those bills moving? Whether you like the issue or not, you have to admit those bills were not moving. And so the Freedom Caucus threw down and said, move those bills, pass this legislation. We're not obstructionists. We were saying pass this legislation. And the response, Mike, as you pointed out, was retaliation, childish retaliation. We're going to take away your chairmanships. By the way, 3 members of the Freedom Caucus are veterans. They were stripped of their chairmanships of running veterans committees. How shameful, how disgusting. And then they took away their parking spaces, and then their staff got punished because if you're no longer a chairman, your senior staffer who staffs your committee that you used to chair gets an automatic pay cut. I mean, how ridiculous. How about we just move some of these bills forward? Mike, you've hit the nail on the head this week. There are movement conservatives in Jefferson City that want to get big red Republican things done, and then there's an establishment class, just like in Washington, D.C., that doesn't want to take tough votes, that doesn't want to move movement conservative things, and just wants to do what the Jefferson City Swamp instructs them to do every year.
Morning, Tim. Gabe here. So what do you make of the ostensibly conservative members who stood with Caleb Rowden on this? I'm trying to rack my brain as to why they would do that.
Well, first of all, Gabe, I will say, yes, not every Republican who's not in the Freedom Caucus, I'm not going to say they're all rhinos, but I am going to say that they're making bad choices. I would say there's probably 3 to 4 groups of Republicans right now. There's 24 Republicans in the Missouri Senate, and you've got 6 of them that are officially in the Missouri Freedom Caucus. There's another 2 or 3 that I would say are Freedom Caucus adjacent, that they believe in everything that the Freedom Caucus is standing for. And, for whatever reason, maybe they're just not ready to jump in the foxhole yet, but they are helping the Freedom Caucus. They're voting with them. So there's about a third, right? About a third fully stand with the Freedom Caucus, which is let's move Republican things. There's another third that are rhinos, that are establishment, that are scared to do big red Republican things. They'd rather not take those tough votes. And then, Gabe, there's about a third that are in the middle, and they're going, I just don't know I want to get involved in this. I don't know that I want, I'm in my last year, my last couple of years, and it's just not worth it. And so I would say that, first of all, folks, to all of our listeners, find out who your state senator is. I hope you all know, but find out who your state senator is. It's really easy. Go to senate.mo.gov, senate.mo.gov, look up your state senator. It's really easy. And call them, email them, and ask them, who do they stand with? Do they stand with the folks who actually want to get Republican priorities across the finish line or not? Gabe, wherever you are on this issue, you have to admit that in a supermajority Republican state, Republicans should be passing a lot of big red Republican priorities every year, right?
Absolutely.
All the liberals who run around and go, 20 years of Republican rule. Look what this guy. Well, you know what? It really hasn't been. It hasn't been. There is a center left governing majority in Jefferson City that is stopping a lot of those things. And when you look at the fact that Caleb Rowden has been in the Senate for 6 years, what does he have to show for it? The only things he has to show for it are when people like Bob Onder, who termed out a couple of years ago, when Bob Onder and Bill Eigel and Denny Hoskins and Jill Carter and others, Nick Schroer, the only things he's got to show is that every so often, that group, they used to be called the Conservative Caucus. Then for a couple of years, they weren't called anything. They're like, fine, we won't even have just do Republican stuff. Well, things didn't get done either. Only when they're dragged kicking and screaming across the finish line do they get maybe a good bill done. All of those good bills, the Second Amendment Preservation Act, the tax cuts, the heartbeat bill, those did not get across the finish line because of Caleb Rowden. They got done in spite of Caleb Rowden, because the people of Missouri rose up and said, no, you have to get this done. And I'll tell you what, last thing I'll say on that point, people in Missouri are standing up on this. I've never seen grassroots and voter fury directed at the establishment class in Jefferson City as I have now. There's close to a dozen Republican central committees who have issued condemnation resolutions against Caleb Rowden and Cindy O'Loughlin. The Freedom Caucus didn't make them do that. The people are actually watching, listening, and seeing what's going on.
Hey, Tim, we're visiting with Tim Jones. Of course, you can hear him every afternoon from 4 to 6 right here on News Talk STL. Just got a couple minutes left now. Speaking of Cindy O'Loughlin, she's speaking at the Missouri Press Association meeting yesterday and was asked about Bill Eigel, of course, who's going to be on this show on Monday. And she just blatantly said, if I thought I could get the votes, I'd love to see him expelled from the Senate. So we've gone from Nana Boo Boo, I don't like you, to I wish we would expel this guy in about 3 weeks in the Missouri Senate so far.
I've known Cindy O'Loughlin a long time, and I told her recently that the Cindy O'Loughlin that I knew from 7 or 8 years ago would be very disappointed with the Cindy O'Loughlin of today. Cindy O'Loughlin used to sit with me on the Missouri Club for Growth board, and back in those times, the Cindy O'Loughlin of the past used to complain about Caleb Rowden, who was in the Senate already ahead of Cindy. And she used to complain about how Caleb Rowden was not to be trusted, and that Caleb Rowden wasn't a real conservative, and that Caleb Rowden wasn't in favor of big red Republican things. Well, now she's carrying his water for him, and I don't understand it. I don't understand it at all. I understand that there's a personality conflict between Cindy O'Loughlin and Bill Eigel. Fine. You don't have to like Bill Eigel, but you should like the priorities that he's trying to push. Cindy has unfortunately made this all about personality, and it's all become personal to her. I want Cindy to put all that aside, and I want her to move Republican bills. The other day she was like, well, what's up? What's going on with this Freedom Caucus, and who are you guys, and why are you doing this? And I said, Cindy, none of that matters. What matters is you moving Republican priorities. move the initiative petition reform, move the tax cuts, move the labor reform bills, move the educational choice and freedom bills, move the protections for children. How about we take care of crime and public safety here in St. Louis? I mean, can you stop doing all the reindeer games and the schoolyard bully tactics? Can you all put that down and just move these Republican? If they would all get really busy, Mike, moving Republican priorities and bills, maybe they'd have less time to stick out their tongues at each other. You know, just move the Republican. That's the only thing the Freedom Caucus, and I would argue all the conservatives, whether you're in that caucus or not, Jeff said, that's all that those folks want. And I don't know why she's made this so personal and so much about personality.
Yeah. All right. Tim Jones hearing with Chris Harps every afternoon right here, 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. All right, Tim, hey, appreciate you being on. And I know you got a busy day there in Georgia. So, man, thanks for checking in with us.
Hey, I really appreciate you guys having me on, and I really appreciate your coverage of this because you guys are spot on with your analysis.
Hey, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim.
All right, still ahead here. Let's talk about making duels great again.
Yeah.
Because we're not stopping with expelling members of the Senate. Let's talk about challenging them to a duel.
I'm kind of interested in this subject. Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
That's just ahead here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
I'm at these, sir.
Are you triggered? Is that what the deal is?
But man, it's 6:19. Stell's already on it.
Like and subscribe to us on Rumble. News Talk STL.
I've had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up, this is your curtain call. Get up.
This is Rob with St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, and we'd like to let you know you don't have to maintain the grout in your home anymore. The grout on the floor or in your shower or bath area. How would you like zero grout in your bathroom? At St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, we focus on grout-free options for your bathroom. If you hate cleaning grout, St. Louis Bathroom Renovation, 314-477-6476. 314-477-6476. Give us a call.
Congratulations to everyone at Connor Roofing. We chose the Connor Roofing team for our National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction without telling anyone at Connor Roofing, based on over 30 years of fantastic customer reviews. Rob and Kathy Connor and their team deliver very high-quality roofing, siding, gutters, storm damage restoration at a fair price with integrity. Connor Roofing has had an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau for years. Count on Connor. For an estimate, please visit ConnorRoofing.com. That's CONNER roofing.com.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at Stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning here on News Talk STL.
Okay.
Yes, it's Flashback Friday.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Little
All right.
YouTube here.
Yeah, buddy.
You'll hear some surprises.
Pride in the Name of Love?
Yes.
Yes. YouTube is, or U2 rather, U2 is they had to grow on me for a while. I was actually not a U2 fan for a while, and then the Joshua Tree came out, and then I'm like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it.
You know, Kathy and I saw them at Graham Chapel at Wash U in 1980, I believe it was,
So
or
that's-
81, right when they first started.
I was going to say, that's way before they were like, you too.
Yes,
So-
and I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it back then.
Yeah.
I thought this lead singer is okay, but I don't know. These guys don't grab me as anything. And they had so few songs in the repertoire, they had to repeat songs at the end. They repeated 3 or 4 songs. Then we saw them a couple years later at Night Moves, which was a club in North City.
Okay.
I'm sorry, North City. It was on the Rock Road out in the
yeah,
St. Anne area. It's gone now. And same situation. Didn't have enough songs to do a whole set, so they repeated a couple of songs at the end. But they were a little bit better back then. In fact, a buddy of mine and we picked him up at the airport and took them there.
You did, really?
And that's when we met the pastor that went with the band for years, who would go to the venues beforehand and pray over the seating areas in the venues. Did it at Soldier Field at a buddy of mine that worked at Live Nation up there, who said, I saw this guy going through the sections the day before, wondering what he was doing. I found out he was praying over the sections, praying for God to move amongst the people there watching the concert. I thought, whoa, that's pretty cool.
At a U2 concert?
Yes.
Oh,
yes, because they were
okay.
considered a somewhat Christian band back then, because they started out as a worship band in Northern Ireland.
Ireland, yeah.
And
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
No idea.
And they made the decision to go towards mainstream music, but they still kept the Christian. Well, you can hear it in their lyrics so many times. But anyway, that's my story from back in the day.
Back in the day.
They probably left here. They went to like the Blue Note in Columbia.
Could be.
And then, that sort of thing. So, yeah, interesting.
Wow.
Flashback Friday. So we've had some requests for different bump music, which, by the way, you can get the list of the bump music now on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning page on newstalkstl.com. Okay, real quick, because I want to talk about this duels thing.
Yes.
Because you're all fired up.
Tim was mentioning his conversations with Cindy O'Loughlin. And one thing that kept dawning on me, and Tim was touching on this, is the bills are at least moving a little bit, kind of at a snail's pace, but they're moving a little bit. What I would love to see is the establishment and the Freedom Caucus racing and competing to see who's going to get credit to get this done.
That would be awesome. I
Right.
would love that. That's the best version of this story, the end of this story.
I want to see the competing press releases to say, no, we did this, you did. We got an initiative petition reform.
You stood in the
you
way.
Didn't. You
Yeah.
didn't get it done. We got it done faster.
Right.
We went 80, you went 70. I would rather see that.
Yes.
Oh, geez. All right, 6:25 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson. Okay. It's Nick Schroer.
Nick's gonna Nick.
I see on Newsweek today, and
Yep.
then I see some other news coverage that a bill has been filed. I swear to God, I saw this headline. Bill filed in Missouri Senate to bring back dueling.
Right.
And I thought, that's got to be Nick Schroer who did that. That's the first thing went through my mind. And sure enough, it was. So, of course, the mainstream, the media who doesn't know Nick, or they're looking for a reason to pounce on Nick, it's like they don't get Nick.
Yeah, they don't get the joke.
Okay, so I've got the actual. It's a rule. It's a resolution.
Sure.
Proposed rule change. So it's a bill, but it's a proposed rule change. It's okay. So it's that right there. It should take me probably about 25, 30 seconds. To read it. Here's what's actually filed in there.
This is like a real filing.
Rule 103. If a senator's honor is impugned by another senator to the point that it is beyond repair, and in order for the offended senator to gain satisfaction, such senator may rectify the perceived insult to the senator's honor by challenging the offending senator to a duel.
All right.
The trusted representative, known as the second of the offended senator, shall send a written challenge to the offending senator. The two senators shall agree to the terms of the duel, including choice of weapons, which shall be witnessed and enforced by their respective seconds. The duel shall take place in the well of the Senate at the hour of high noon on the date agreed to by the parties of the duel.
That sounds awesome. I don't know about you, but that sounds awesome.
And of course,
now, of course, it's a joke.
The pearl clutching is like, they're okay. So
they're trying to take us to the Wild West. They're going even further than the Wild West and back to the. The antiquated days of
And
yore.
you know Nick is laughing all the way back to his office because
Absolutely.
of all the hyperventilating over this. But let's do a little mock-up of this.
Okay, yeah,
so
yeah.
we've got State Senator Gabe Pfeiffer.
Yes.
We've got State Senator Mike Ferguson.
Yes.
Okay, so to keep it as realistic as possible, I probably am the one who said something offensive.
That's it. That's probably true.
That's probably true.
That's probably true.
Okay, so then you are the offended senator.
Right.
I have impugned your integrity.
Right.
And we want to make a point, but probably what would happen is somebody would do a I don't know, a Mizzou versus Missouri State, or a the I don't know, the Cardinals and Royals or something like that, and you have offended me, sir.
Right. And then I take my leather glove and I slap you lightly across the cheeks and throw my gauntlets upon your shoe.
You have your second send to my office a note. We have to agree on the duel because it says right here we agree on the terms.
We agree on the terms and the weapons.
And
right?
the weapons.
Right.
So we go get Nerf guns.
Yeah.
Or we go get paintball.
Or those Nerf swords.
There we go.
You know, right?
That's right.
Or lightsabers.
Of course.
And we have the music playing in the background.
That's right.
Duel of the Fates.
That would be all the terms we could negotiate.
Yes, exactly.
And I got to tell you, if as silly as this sounds, and there is somebody who is really angry about what's happening with Freedom Caucus.
So mad.
I get it, but are you telling me that a duel with a Nerf gun, shooting the little, whatever you call those little foam things.
Yeah, little foam darts.
Little foam darts. Are you telling me that one of those duels, as agreed upon in the Senate rules, would not be a good thing to break all of that tension a little bit and give everybody a good laugh?
Well, it's funny because, behind all of these things, Nick usually has a point to them, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think his spokesman, made a statement to that effect, that he's just trying to return civility to the one method basically that he's using to try to return civility to the chambers.
A duel is a great way to return civility.
Well, it's the idea though that you're going to have to answer for the words that you choose.
Right.
You're going to have to answer for the way that you treat one another. Now, granted, he I don't expect that he's thinking that's good. Like, okay, we're going to fight with the flamethrowers at at high noon in the well of the chambers there.
Listen, a society armed with flamethrowers is a
The
polite society. I'm
Yes,
just saying.
that's true. But the idea is that you're at some point you're going to have to cash the checks that your mouth is writing,
Mm-hmm.
right? That's the idea. And I think a lot of people have gotten way too comfortable with just speaking to one another as though we're just trading mean tweets. That's not real life, So you can't speak to one another a certain way. You can't deal with one another a certain way. Bring the civility back, I think, is kind of the ultimate point he's trying to make.
I texted Nick earlier today. I mean, I'm sure before anybody's up, and I just said, want to talk about duels today on the show? So, I mean, I have no idea what Nick's schedule is, so he may or may not be available, but I'm like, this is awesome.
It's really good.
And the thing is, like, normally I'm one of those who's like, respect the office, use the right titles. I mean, I really do think there's a place for all of that. And I say this, I'm like, okay, so this is a partial trolling. Secondly, this is partially making a point. And thirdly, this might be, kind of what they need. It's like, okay, Cindy O'Loughlin, you want to expel somebody? All right, fine. 10 paces, Nerf darts. Nerf darts at 10 paces at high noon.
Water pistols.
Ooh, there you go. Yeah,
high pressure water pistols.
What do we call that one gun? The water gun.
The super soaker.
Super soaker. Yeah.
Super soaker. And fourthly, it would make a great Monty Python skit.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, it's honestly, it sounds kind of fun.
Oh goodness. All right, and of course, all this is going back to this intense hatred that so many of the establishment Republicans have for the Freedom Caucus. On Rumble right here, Righty Right delivers another zinger. He goes, freedom shaming comes to mind. Are they freedom shaming?
Yes, I think so. I think that works.
Oh, good night. Good night. All right, 314-912-1019. Hey, let's talk a little election stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Article in one of the local news media outlets saying that this no labels thing,
Mm-hmm.
they've got some pretty big goals, and they think they're actually going to get on the ballot in all 50 states.
Excuse
or they
me?
say they're going to.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to talk about that because they're not in the headlines. Nobody's paying attention. But it sounds like they've been laying the groundwork to be in a position to try to at least influence what happens in November.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I'll give you the update right around 6:35 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
One man washed on an empty beach. One man betrayed with a
Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Missouri Wild Alchemy is a local and family-owned business dedicated to providing consumers with high-quality cannabis and education. They strive to make customers feel comfortable and to help curtail the stigma of cannabis use by having a professional and well-educated staff. They're proud to carry products from several Missouri cultivators and manufacturers. Missouri Wild Alchemy, now serving recreational customers 21 and above, as well as patients. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram, or visit MissouriWild.com. That's MissouriWild.com.
Oh, this cold.
Honey?
Honey?
Honey, you need DayQuil Severe Honey.
DayQuil Severe Honey gives you powerful cold and flu symptom relief with a honeylicious taste, because life doesn't stop for a cold.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
Now I'm getting a cold.
Honey.
Try DayQuil Severe Honey for powerful cold and flu relief. DayQuil Severe with honey flavor. The daytime coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever, honeylicious, power through your day medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Steph's Pizza is on the move to Lake St. Louis. That's right, you can now get the legendary Steph's Pizza and Pasta in Lake St. Louis, 111 Pond Fort Trail. Steph's Pizza, where Mondays you get a large pizza for the price of a small, and it just got more convenient for pickup or delivery in Lake St. Louis. Steph's Pizza in the Chesterfield Valley on Long Road, in St. Peters on Jungerman, and now in Lake St. Louis at 111 Pond Fort Trail. Check them out at stephspizza.com. Tonight's a good night for Steph's Pizza.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Friday, Chris Arps talks Supreme Court cases with Zach Smith of Heritage, and then Patrick Tuohy of Show Me gives an update on the Chiefs and Royal Stadium situation.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I just died on your arms tonight.
Cutting Crew.
MTV flashbacks, Cutting Crew from 87.
Wow. Cutting Crew, yeah.
Yeah.
Big intro here. Here we go. That's a pretty good song. I actually had this cassette back in high school.
Mm-hmm. Why does it feel like forever since I've heard this song? But at the same time, yesterday. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Oh, man. All right, Flashback Friday with the bump music. Here's a interesting... This is kind of one of those things I didn't expect to see this morning when I got in.
Mm-hmm.
This no labels thing.
Yeah.
Making some big claims. They say they're going to be on the ballot in all 50 states. Are you concerned that the group will affect the upcoming election? That's what I want to talk about here. By the way, Mark McCloskey going back to court I'll tell you about that at 6:50 or so.
Mm-hmm.
All right, they're not in the headlines lately, but this no labels thing apparently has been laying the groundwork for a broader campaign that a lot of people realize. Getting on the ballot is not an easy thing in a lot of states.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, in some states it's really, really hard. The two main parties have made it very difficult for other parties to get on and compete with them.
I pretty much assumed, back in the day when we were talking about them to begin with, that they were going to be a flash in the pan, that they weren't going to get on any ballots if, not many, if any.
There are some
right?
states, there are a few states where you can just sign up.
Right, exactly. So, they'd be on like 5 or 6 states ballots or something like that. That's what I was assuming in the back of my head. We didn't even really talk about them really getting in. I mean, except making some noise, I suppose, during the campaigning, during the general campaign. This could be huge.
Yeah, in that it could have an effect. Okay, so 314-912-1019. So a couple of things here. One, people look at surveys. They're like, look, poll after poll after poll says people want an alternative. They want another choice. Because when a pollster calls and says, would you like a choice outside Republicans and Democrats, majority of people go, yes, absolutely. And then they say, okay, here's your ballot. Actually vote for somebody who's not going to win. And then they go, it's really the concept I like.
The ballot box response is always different than the poll response.
When I ran for lieutenant governor back in 2004, I was the Libertarian Party's nominee. Please don't tell anybody that. I'm a little embarrassed I was affiliated with them. So can we keep that secret among us?
Okay, all right, just family.
Just you, me, and the however thousands of people are listening right now. And so I had that all the time. I traveled thousands of miles all over the state. Most of the time, a third-party candidate sets up a social media presence. Back then, it was just you set up a blog or a website, and that's all you do. You hope you hope that media outlets call you for a comment or they email you. Well, I traveled thousands of miles all over the state. And what I heard a lot was, boy, I really like your platform. That's really better than, I really like that. But if it's too bad that you're with that party. I can't,
Right. You have a little bit of experience of doing the whole third party thing.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which was why I'm not a fan of it. But here's the thing. There's also two premises that No Labels is kind of riding on right now. One is that, and surveys and polls, since we believe those again, apparently, back this up. They say that a lot of voters, a majority of voters, do not want either Biden or Trump.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want that matchup again. They don't want that 2020 matchup again.
Right.
And the surveys seem to back that up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, when it comes to, okay, well, here's another choice to vote for, are they actually going to do it?
Right.
And the other premise is that both parties have become too extreme. Now, the Democratic Party absolutely has become too extreme. I think the Republican Party, especially in Washington, has become too mushy middle.
Yeah, it's kind of wild when you actually compare the movement on policy between the two parties. The perception is so far out of bounds from reality. The Republican Party platform hasn't really changed a lot over the past 20, 40 years. But the Democrats now are talking about how there should be men in girls' locker rooms and whatnot. It's like, come on. You know who the extreme one is, but for some reason the narrative is sticking to, both parties have just been, don't give me the both.
Right. I mean, what's important to national security, according to the left, right?
What's that?
Is that we have men in dresses
who
are leading the,
Yeah, exactly. The drag queens recruiting for the Navy.
Which actually is a real thing. In case you think Gabe is using hyperbole, that actually happened.
Yes.
Okay, so because the article was basically based on an interview with former Missouri Governor Jay Nixon. So Jay Nixon has joined No Labels, and he is now like in charge of their ballot drive, essentially, to get on the ballot. And so he says that the organization is actively looking for centrist Republicans and centrist Democrats, and he says that they're attracting more Republicans than Democrats. That's what they're saying.
That's where the trend is.
Right. And, of course, the talking point that Governor Nixon has had is he said, I was a Democrat with an overwhelming Republican majority, and look, we balanced the budget, we did all this stuff, and he lists the things that happened while he was governor. He leaves out the part that those things happened because he was the most veto overridden governor in the history of the state. Literally.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Governor Nixon ran into a buzzsaw of this Speaker of the House who led overrides. What was that speaker's name?
It was like a Timmy or something
Yeah,
like that.
Jones or something like that.
Jonesy.
Yeah. And so, he's now saying, look at all the bipartisanship we had. Well, yeah, but he was overridden over and over and over and over and over again
Right.
by the Republicans back, when the Republican legislature was more cohesive.
Right.
And I don't think anybody can take issue with my saying they're not cohesive now.
Gosh,
they
no.
were back then. Okay, so here's what they're saying right now. They're saying that they've already secured spots on the ballot in 14 states. They are in process of getting onto the ballot in 14 more, and that Governor Nixon expects no labels to secure ballot spots in all 50 states by summer's end. To do that, they have to have a crap ton of money.
Yeah, that's kind of the big thing that
lot.
hit me when you said they're going to be on all 50, or it's possible that they could be
Right.
on the ballot in all 50 states. And I was just dollar signs ringing in my ears.
Oh, yeah. And they are going to have their own convention. We have no idea who's looking at running or not running on their ticket. But they say after the Super Tuesday primaries for both the Republicans and Democrats, so we're talking about mid-late March, something like that, essentially then they'll decide whether to put a ticket on these on the ballots. So the people involved in this sort of thing would be like Joe Lieberman is involved, and Jay Nixon is involved, and there's a couple of. I mean, I did an interview with some No Labels folks on my American Viewpoint show as well, and so they, at one hand, they've said, we're not going to be spoilers, but if they think they have a lane, but the thing is that who would this affect more?
Yeah,
and honestly, I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I absolutely think they're going to be a spoiler one way or the other. I mean, if they get on the ballot in all 50 states, that's kind of because we are essentially a bicameral system. Any third party is necessarily going to be a spoiler.
Unless it grows over time.
Well, yes.
I mean, the Republican Party was started as a third party.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And I think politics were a little more fluid back in the day.
Yeah, they were.
And I think people are so siloed off for the most part. But where they have those differences, that those could be where it's a deal breaker. Then if they dare to veer off, they're going to be few and far between of those people, because they hate the other party's position so much that they're willing to compromise on this issue to get to keep the other guy's person out of office. I'll say.
Okay, so around the room here, and I'd love the answers on social media as well. If there ends up being a choice, and it can be president, governor, Congress, whatever, that you just actively dislike the Republican and the Democratic nominees, would you consider voting in a third party or independent candidate? I mean, would you consider doing it?
Only as a protest vote. So in an instance where, like, for instance, this is Missouri.
Yeah.
Right? There are certain races where you basically know the outcome going in.
Oh, sure.
Right? So if I feel as though it's safe enough to do so, I will lodge a protest vote for a third party.
Okay. What about you, Stel? Would you ever consider that?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yep. I would not have any problem
Just
with it at all.
unequivocally.
Like Gabe said, if the individuals from both parties were not ones that I can agree with at all, sure, I would consider it.
Yeah. Would you consider that a protest vote against them or a vote for somebody who's given a better alternative?
I would consider it for.
But they're not
Better
going to win
alternative.
still. That's what you're going to do.
I understand.
That's the argument you get, right?
Yeah. Hey, if I lived in Cory Bush's district, I knew very well when I voted in Congress that my vote was not going to the winner.
Right.
Susie Moore, Smoozy Q here on Rumble says, I think they, meaning No Labels, I think they're more likely spoiler for the Democrats. Very few people are tepid on Trump.
That's true. I mean,
you either really like
him
or
like
you
him or really hate
don't.
him. Yeah,
there's very few people in the middle at this point.
That is a really good point. That is a really good point. And of course, considering how close they are percentage wise, at least in the polls, that could make a significant difference.
Mm-hmm.
And from my perspective, I've been married to a protester for 53 years. So I've learned a couple of things over the years.
Now he goes home and there's Kathy marching with a sign, "Put the toilet seat down. Put the toilet seat down."
And I learned my lesson.
Toilet paper over, not under.
That's
Toilet
right.
paper over.
Beards are cool, mullets bad.
Exactly.
That's how you remember.
That's how you remember. But the other thing, though, I wonder about are the instances where you end up with enough protest votes that it blows up the whole system, like we had with that. I think it was a primary, wasn't it? A local primary where somebody got on the ballot, somebody became the nominee, and we were like, oh, wait a minute.
That's happened a few times.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, I didn't mean for this person.
That was in the county executive race.
County
on the
executive race.
Republicans.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And that screwed the whole thing because we actually had a chance there. I think. I mean, it was a minimal chance, but there was a chance, and it just did not work out.
Right. Yeah. All right. 314-912-1019 on Rumble here. Righty. Again, he says, Tim Jones, 2028. Righty, Tim has a job.
Get off my guy.
He's fine where he is right now. Okay? Just saying. All right.
Don't take my stuff.
Find out why. That's right. Find out why Mark McCloskey back in the headlines because he's going back to court.
Oh, really?
I'll tell you about that here in just about 2.5 minutes on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Because Mark wants his stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
For podcast, articles, and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. Choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
In the fast-paced world of digital marketing, making connections is a challenge for any business. But what if we told you there is a place where connections aren't just made, they're grown? Meet 2060 Digital, your premier Google partner and top-tier digital agency. We don't just follow trends, we set them. At 2060 Digital, we're not just another agency, we're your strategic partner. We dive deep into your challenges and develop solutions that drive measurable outcomes. Ready to elevate your digital presence with campaigns that connect? Google 2060 Digital today.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886. Or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company, not available in all states.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hello, morning people. Tony Colombo and Katie Fitzpatrick here.
Thanks for listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL. And don't forget to join us today at 2 for Colombo and Katie.
See you then.
You're such a good listener, Stell. We had a request for some Van Halen. Gabe said he hadn't heard Hot for Teacher in forever.
Oh, man. It's a great intro. It really is. All the way around.
There we go. I got to let it kick in there. The whole thing kick in.
Yeah, you got to
before we
wait for
start
it.
talking. Yeah, here we go. I'm trying not to picture the video right now. Gabe's there guitaring. All right, News Talk STL, stand and fight with Senator Nick Schroer. I wonder if he's got anything to talk about this week. That's going to be Sunday night from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock. The dual challenging, flame-throwing Nick Schroer right here on News Talk STL. All right. So we're going from filibusters to expel him. Good Lord.
I don't feel tardy.
I've actually got a T-shirt that says I don't feel tardy. Yeah. That's all it says. And my daughter stole it.
Oh, of course.
I know.
Of course.
I bet I do. That's all it says. I don't feel tardy. I just walk around with that. So. And it's funny because you'll see people like who are of my generation and my people, the 80s rock people, they just point and go, dude!
Yes.
And that's the entire conversation.
That's the entire conversation.
That's it. We just go about our business.
This is the old man version of the if you know, you know.
That's right. That's right. Also, the legal fight for Mark McCloskey not over. He's going back to court. All right. It is 6:53 right here. Okay, so now one of the Missouri Senate leaders says she'd like to see Bill Eigel expelled from the body.
We shall excommunicate you, sir.
Senator Cindy O'Loughlin made those comments on Thursday to reporters, then acknowledged that it's really unlikely that she's going to find enough votes to do that. After Caleb Rowden, Cindy O'Loughlin is the second highest ranking member of the Senate. So we've gone in just over 3 weeks to kick them out of their elected office.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy how far it's gotten, which makes me think maybe the dual thing might not be the wrong way to go with this.
Oh, good Lord. At least with the Nerf darts or super soakers or something.
Super soakers, Nerf darts.
Nerf
swords or lightsabers.
There you go.
Like I said.
Did you ever do dodgeball like inside where you had to throw something like really soft?
A small. No, I haven't done that one. I would like to.
Yeah, like a Nerf ball. Yeah. I had a teacher that knitted together these little square things so you grab the corner and throw.
Oh, that sounds cool.
At each other, yeah.
Pillow fight.
That's right.
As a duel. That would be fun.
So that's where we are in the Missouri Senate right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Texas and the White House continuing their spat over the southern border. Of course, you remember the Supreme Court actually sided with the Biden administration earlier this week, saying that the feds could order Border Patrol to start cutting down those razor wires. Governor Greg Abbott responded by putting up more razor wire after the ruling. So Governor Abbott was on America's Newsroom on Fox last night.
Because the Biden administration has really, truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws, Texas very simply is securing the border.
Okay, so let me give you the response that is now coming from the White House. The administration says the wire is interfering. Now, this is their perspective. Wire is interfering with the federal border agents' ability to do their job, which is handling the influx of illegal immigrants who are coming into the country.
Look at that little sleight of hand just based in that statement. Their job is to handle the influx as opposed to stop the influx.
Yes,
it's like what is happening?
But it's kind of funny and kind of ballsy that you've got Greg Abbott like, oh, that's the court ruling. Okay, let's pile on a bunch more razor wire.
Yes.
They say you can cut it down.
Well, here's more. Here's more to deal with. Every time you put it up, we're going to put it down. And then of course, there's other aspects to this confrontation that I'm not sure have been addressed, like the Texas. I'm not sure it's their National Guard or their local police or anything who kick federal agents out of certain areas.
Right.
And basically, they say you are trespassing on Texas land. You have to get out.
And that's kind of what ruled against them.
Okay, so is
Shelby Park you're thinking of.
Shelby Park in particular. So was the ruling against that law, or was the ruling towards the allowing federal agents to have the authority
the ruling
to do
was that the feds have the authority over the state when it comes to the border. That's what the original. That's what it was. And there's
Sure.
more. They're still going to go through more processes on it. But that's really what it came down to. Say when there's a conflict, when in doubt, the feds trump the locals. Is essentially because it's a border security, because it's a national issue. That was the ruling of the court.
Okay.
And so,
See, I just keep thinking of the legalese
right.
argument. It's like, well, you said they could do this, but you didn't say we couldn't do this.
Right. Well, exactly. Now,
Yeah.
what I think is the practical aspect of it is that Texas isn't going to be allowed to eject the Border Patrol, but they sure can leave a bunch of stuff in their way, out there.
Okay.
All right. And a number of states are sending National Guard troops down to help Texas.
Oh, yeah.
There's a call on Governor Parson to do that as well.
25 states.
Yeah, 25
so far.
states. Governor Parson says he supports Texas's position, but he hasn't said whether or not he's going to actually send troops down there. Okay, real quick, Mark McCloskey asking for an expungement of his record after pleading guilty to that misdemeanor with the showdown with the Black Lives Matter protesters back in 2020. So we'll talk about that a little bit more in the 7 o'clock hour.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Calling it a soft invasion, they're sounding an alarm. A group of 10 retired FBI directors and counterintelligence experts firing off a letter to Congress warning of the potentially catastrophic impact of Biden open border policies. They note a flood of military-aged men from nations hostile to the U.S. are now entering the country, including waves of young men from China and Russia. Quoting from the letter, the threat we call out today is new and unfamiliar. In its modern history, the U.S. has never suffered an invasion of the homeland, and yet one is unfolding now. A border security showdown between Texas and the White House, the latter giving Texas 24 hours to surrender control of Shelby Park. It's an unauthorized border crossing at Eagle Pass.
The community is overwhelmed by a flood of illegal aliens and drugs. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says President Biden has failed his constitutional responsibility of securing the border and enforcing the law, so Texas has to do so. 25 states have rallied to Abbott's side, in addition to former President Trump and other Republicans like House Speaker Mike Johnson and Senator Ted Cruz. Ken Lorman reporting.
A Russian court is once again extending the detention of an American journalist accused of espionage.
Russian news agencies are reporting that Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich will be detained at least until the end of March. Today's hearing took place behind closed doors.
And that's correspondent Donna Warder. The UN's World Court refusing to throw out a case that accuses Israel of genocide in Gaza and calling on Israel to halt the offensive. The case was brought by South Africa. Watching Wall Street, Dow futures down 3 points, NASDAQ futures off 54 points. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Terrorist attacks against Israel, escalating threats of a third world war, natural disasters, and civil unrest are causing people to wonder, are we living in the end times?
In his new book, Are We Living in the End Times?, trusted pastor and best-selling author Dr. Robert Jeffress provides solid biblical answers to 7 key questions, including, what role does Israel play in the end times? What 5 headlines will signal we are in the end times? And how can you prepare for the end times? Are We Living in the End Times by Dr. Robert Jeffress is available right now at ptv.org and wherever fine books are sold.
Jesus said, no one knows the hour or day of his return, which is why we should be ready at all times. Jesus is coming back to earth one day. Are you ready? Get your copy of my new book, Are We Living in the End Times? By going to ptv.org or where.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros. When Christine and I bought our new house, we knew the gutters were an issue, and after meeting the Gutter Pros team, we knew that they were right for us. Gutter Pros is your all-in-one gutter service team that offers a variety of affordable solutions, and they even offer free estimates, so there's no cost to you to find out if they are right for your home, just like they were for ours. If you're having a problem with your gutters, contact the Gutter Pros now, because with Gutter Pros, water goes where they tell it to. Call them at 314-656-7195 or visit gutterpros.com.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin God.
It's Friday!
Rumble's busy today, the chat box.
Yeah.
This is fun, man.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Get in, jump in.
All
Water's
right.
fine.
Susie says that she was ready to bust a move on the Kofifi dance at 7:05. I'm going to trust that you did it, Susie.
Yes.
All right, just saying.
Honor system.
7:06 right now. All right, can you go too far when trying to protect kids from online bad stuff? That
Probably.
sounds like a terrible question to ask. I mean, seriously, it sounds like an awful question.
It's like, of course not. I would do anything to protect my child from XYZ.
Right. Precisely. Okay, so, by the way, just ahead here, I mentioned the Mark McCloskey thing. I'm going to go into more details on that at 7:20 or so. Okay, I'm Mike. That's Gabe. That's Stell. 7:06. Real quick, last night we had kind of an open house for a lot of the folks who advertise and have been involved in programs and some of the partners we had, like we had folks from the Hammond Institute and a lot of folks from Thrive were here last night. And, St. Louis City, GOP, a lot of people we just interview. And we had a great time. I just want to real quick thank everybody for coming out because the weather was really crappy. And we're like, man, nobody's going to show up. And the place was full. We just had a great time. And I just want to point out, not one single mask was worn. I'm just going to say. Okay.
Also want to point out, our management said, ooh, we don't have to pay for parking.
That's right. We don't have to validate parking because we're not in downtown St. Louis anymore.
Right.
That's right. Jeff just seems to love that part.
Oh, gosh, yes. That's his favorite. It's like somebody comes by, and on their way out, they're like, hey, thanks for having me. It's like, and he'll turn to one of us and like, hey, could you validate their parking?
Now, here's the thing,
just
though.
to point out that we don't have to.
That's actually not just one of those like inside jokes here. This is many of the problems with downtown St. Louis. They've got that one parking company that basically has a monopoly on all the parking, and it is insanely. You're politically connected enough, or you're contractually connected enough. This one company can just rule everything. Instead of paying for all of that parking, you know what we did? We hired a part-timer.
Yeah,
so we somebody has a job that we probably wouldn't have been able to do if we were still in downtown St. Louis.
That's how that works.
Okay, 7:08 right now. Okay, so I kind of just tossed this subject in because I came in here and I'm watching the different news outlets on the monitors here, and I'm looking through the headlines. And the state of Florida now, the legislature is considering a law that would ban, right now it looks like, anybody under the age of 16 from being on social media. So if you're 14, you're 13, you're 12, you're 10, it would be illegal for Instagram or TikTok or Facebook to issue you an account.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I guess you could be on your parents' account, but you can't have your own. Like, that's the idea.
And Utah has a law that is supposed to go into effect in March for essentially the same thing. So the practical result, at 8:05, so 1 hour from right now, we've got one of the attorneys. His name is Bob. I have to look up his name. Bob Korn Revere. He is one of the top attorneys for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, which is FIRE. And normally FIRE is going to bat defending a lot of times conservatives who are being censored.
Yes. They started out as a free speech on campus organization.
Right.
That E used to just be education.
Now it's
expression.
Yep.
So because they're to have their wider mandate that they currently have.
Well, now they're kind of running into conflict with some conservatives in Utah, and because they're suing over that law, which is essentially saying that you have to age verify to go on social media for whatever age they have in Utah. So we're going to talk to him at 8:05. But I saw Florida's now looking at this. In Missouri, there is a different law that's proposed. It's not for social media, though.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different. It's for adult websites, basically.
Right. Yeah.
So those. So that's not exactly the same thing.
It's a little different.
But let's talk social media, because multiple states are saying we have got to protect kids. You've got even like the Heritage Foundation, Josh Hawley. You've got a bunch of conservatives who are saying we have to stop this. We have to keep kids off this. You know, Josh Hawley has even suggested legislation requiring social media companies to boot you off after so long if you're scrolling for too long.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it didn't really go anywhere. But you know, the Heritage Foundation is among those who are saying we need some sort of age verification requirement. And I've interviewed him, and I kind of did a little sparring with them. I mean, friendly. I think the Heritage Foundation is right 95% of the time, but I think they're wrong here. And so in this case, the emotional appeal, though, Gabe, is there's nothing we won't do to protect kids.
Right.
And that's got a strong emotional pull to it. Can we go too far in protecting kids? You may say, so what? You got to register and verify your age to get on Facebook. Does that really change how it's going to work for you?
Well, here's the thing. There's always going to be some sort of consequence that you weren't expecting coming out of those things, and that's what gives me the biggest amount of pause on these sorts of things. Whenever there's a push towards registrations of things or verifications of things that run through the government, I'm always going to at the very least be careful as I tiptoe through that garden. Now, the strongest argument towards the idea of age restricting social media, to me, is the scientific one being made about the effect that it has on children's brains, because it is the equivalent of drugs. It has the same sort of effect on the brain as drugs, and children have become addicted to social media. So there is a legitimate, at least, exploration that needs to be had, a legitimate discussion about the appropriateness of social media for children. But then the rubber meets the road. Do we make a law about this, or do we simply inform parents to say, hey, by the way, this thing is kind of like, just dropping a doobie on your kid every day. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's problems there.
See, here's the thing, though, is that in order to do that, to protect the kids, and that's the phrase, all of us would have to do some kind of registration to verify our age.
Yeah.
So you'd have to do it. I'd have to do it. Everybody would have to do it.
Yes.
So you must, in the name of protecting kids, protecting children, it's for the children, you would have to put this requirement on everybody, and then you have to have some kind of enforcement, and that is a government registration or a government ordering the social media companies to do their own registration and act on behalf of the government. That's where First Amendment problems come in. And you may say, well, wait a minute. Does that mean we're choosing between the First Amendment and trying to protect kids from the dopamine? Well,
Yes.
maybe. And so then what do you pick? I actually picked the First Amendment.
Absolutely. Well, here's the thing. We're talking about in practice. Now, in concept, the idea is, well, we're just trying to protect kids from social media. We're trying the negative aspects of social media that we're all witnessing, right? That's the intent.
Right.
But the effect is exactly the same as Nikki Haley's idea to register everybody to have a social media account. It's actually the same thing when the rubber meets the road. You have to provide some government-issued ID, essentially, to these private companies to let them verify your age, and they're going to have that information on hand.
And Camellia on Rumble says, imagine giving third-party companies your children's information.
Yes. Well, and here's the thing. Eventually, kids grow up. But
I hope.
But
sorry, that's a whole other thing. Sorry, yes.
Well, the thing is, they become legal adults.
Yes,
we'll
that part is
that part is true. The kids become legal adults eventually. But guess what happens to their information that was given by you to these companies as children? They still have them. They still have all whatever information would be required for this thing.
Right.
So now, yes, it is adult verification. It's just through the back door.
Right. And so there's the easy emotional appeal.
Yeah.
Listen, we got to stop. We were just talking yesterday on the social media stuff. We're scrolling. We intentionally scrolled through my reels on Facebook, and some of it that's Mike. The other parts is like, come on, really?
He's like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, and it's you made the case for, listen, China is working these algorithms because China, on a macro level, they want my marriage to fail.
Yeah.
So that's probably why I'm getting, boobs and bikinis thrown at me every, I don't know, 15th one or 5th, whatever it is. Yeah.
Depending.
And everybody else, because I am a man of that age, and everybody else as well. So there are dangers out there. I'm not saying it's squeaky clean. I mean, honestly, I think a lot of us should be on social media less. I don't post that much, but I'm on there more than I probably should be, just for keeping up with the news and things like that. But I'm growing really tired of it. But does that mean that we need a law? And that's a separate question. And that's why when I saw that story about what's happening in the Florida legislature, and I talked to and arranged that interview with the lawyer regarding the Utah law and some others, that's what makes me really nervous is, okay, so here's a problem, and your solution is more big government?
Right. Yes. That's kind of the case that we always have to make. Whenever we see a societal problem, and somebody says, or maybe their first impulse, or maybe their third impulse is, there ought to be a law, I want you to question that. I want you to take it to its logical conclusion. I want you to think of the worst version of the idea that you're currently having, because that's probably the one that's going to come out of the government.
Yeah, and for so many people, it's also, but this is the easiest way to do it, because you can just do blank law and everybody has to. Listen, that's lazy thinking.
Yes. Well, and the thing is, good things are hard.
Yeah,
for a reason.
It's hard to motivate mass numbers of parents to say all the hundreds of things a parent's going to deal with every single day that they have to make decisions on, and they have to worry about protecting their kid from and instructing their kid and all of these things. This is one of many.
Right.
And so to say, well, we just want the government to do it for you, we're going to make the law, then everybody has to comply. First of all, you're taking part of the parental bandwidth away and inserting government into that parental thing more often, but it's also the lazy way to do it. There ought to be a law.
Yeah. I mean we're in the same situation as we were in education, right?
Yeah.
It's easier to simply drop your kid off and let somebody else take responsibility for their education. But now we're realizing, well, parents taking a little more ownership of that, a little more responsibility, and paying a little bit closer attention to what's going on is kind of important to the whole deal.
But Gabe, there are parents who aren't going to do it. They're going to fail. They're going to let their kid get caught up in all of this. So we got to protect them, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because some parents are not going to do a good job, and some parents are not going to do a good job.
That's true, and that's we have to get comfortable, especially on the right, because this is kind of our bread and butter here. The idea of freedom and responsibility going hand in hand. We got to get comfortable with allowing people to fail at the things that we give them freedom to do or not do.
Yeah, that's the thing with freedom, is that freedom is dangerous.
Yes, it's absolutely dangerous.
And if you say, I want freedom, but I want no risk, I want freedom, but I want no responsibility, then you really don't want freedom.
No. You want the illusion of freedom.
You want comfort.
You want to live in the Matrix.
Yeah, that's what you want. All right, 314-912-1019. All right, Mark McCloskey back in the news because he's going back to court. Of course, Mark, obviously now, News Talk STL host on the weekend. So I'll tell you what's putting him back in a courtroom just ahead here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now!
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL.
Rise to your indifference. Stop it right now!
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Can't you hear the alarm? Get up!
Coming Monday.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. If you are sick and tired of the corporate news bubble, if you like unedited information free from corporate money, if you want straight talk with no script, join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on The Rob Carter Show.
Live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
I think you're a little confused.
News, analysis, opinion.
I've got something to say and I can't hold it any longer.
1019 and 94.1.
You won't hear the truth anywhere but here. News Talk STL.
News Talk STL.
When it comes to making big decisions, you want to make sure you've got people who are, one, going to give you the best advice, two, understand the market that you're working in, and three, have the best interest of you and your family at heart. And I just described Rodney and Jen, my friends. So give them a call today. Mike Ferguson here for the Wallner Home Selling Team with Berkshire Hathaway, 314-810-SOLD. This may very well be the right time to finally make that move, put your home on the market. Or maybe not, because you know what? Rodney and Jen have so many pre-approved buyers, even now, that you may never have to list your home. You're looking to buy a home, you definitely need Rodney and Jen's advice, because what they care about are the people who they serve. And I know that sounds cliche, but there really is a difference. You call them today, 314-810-SOLD. That's my challenge. Call them and say, hey, Mike was talking about you on the radio. I want to give a conversation with you, a little bit of a test run here, and tell them your situation. Listen, that's the number I call when I talk to Rodney and Jen, 314-810-SOLD. That's their cell number, okay? They are licensed in both Missouri and in Illinois, because you know what? There's a lot of people ready to leave Illinois. And so they are not just experts in real estate. They're not just experts in the St. Louis market. It's not even just that they've got this uncanny way of knowing what the market is about to do and how it's going to affect you. They just truly, honest to God, care about the people they work with. They want your family to have the best dollar for dollar return as possible. And very, very few people have a financial decision bigger than buying or selling a home. That's why you want to work with Rodney and Jen. Call them, tell them your situation, talk to them for a few minutes, and you're going to understand, that's why Mike is so high on Rodney and Jen when it comes to real estate. 314-810-SOLD. Listen, they're involved right here in St. Louis. They sell upwards of 15 times more homes than other real estate agents. And a lot of times when we say that, you think, oh, well, great, they've got a good marketing strategy. Well, their marketing strategy is they do a great job. And then people say, you got to work with my real estate folks, Rodney and Jen. That's how they have built a successful business, by taking great care of the people they serve. And that's how they work with you. They are going to empower you to make the best decision for your family, because that's what they're passionate about. Once again, 314-810-SOLD.
coming Monday.
Hey, St. Louis, my name is Rob Carter. My new primetime show will explore the collaboration between corrupt media and our corrupted political system. From manipulated elections, open borders, mandated medicines, and unconstitutional lockdowns, what is going on?
The Rob Carter Show.
Let's talk about it on The Rob Carter Show. Join me weeknights from 8 to 10 p.m. on News Talk STL.
Rob Carter, live and local, weeknights at 8 on News Talk STL.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Little requested what music here?
On Flashback Friday, it's Oingo Boingo.
Yes. Who actually was asked, because they actually followed up. They're like, hey, what about my Oingo Boingo? That was, because we had a few of these come in. It was Blues Nut. So Blues Nut, there you go, man. Oingo Boingo. He sent that in yesterday. I'm thinking, I forgot about Oingo Boingo from the 80s. I mean,
interesting band.
That's a one word to use for him. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They came out of a musical theater troupe, if I remember correctly, and I tried to look up the title. I think it was the Mystic Knights of the Oingo Boingo. And Danny Elfman was the lead guy for the band, and they were out of Los Angeles.
And by the way, Danny Elfman, if you don't know that name, you definitely know his music because he does all kinds of music for like movies, and he's worked with Tim Burton a lot.
Yes.
Like The Nightmare Before Christmas and a lot of that stuff.
That's their favorite team up. Yeah, Elfman. And you know all his songs.
Oh, yeah.
You know pretty much all of them.
Yeah, that's right.
From the movies.
All right, a News Talk STL host back in the news because he's going back to court. Of course, you just heard Rob Carter's new show starts on Monday. Don't forget this weekend, Stiefel's On the Money radio show. That happens Saturday at 9 o'clock. So Randy Tobler, 6 to 9, and then Eric Robert and Bob Stockdale, 9 o'clock. You want to know what's going on with your money, the economy, investments, check out that show, 9 o'clock. That is not a typical financial show. That's really good stuff right there. Okay, so Mark McCloskey, who, of course, now is a News Talk STL personality here on the weekends, he's going back to court. So let's revisit, because the local media, when you see the headlines, they don't write the story right. They don't write it, framing it accurately here.
Right.
2020, Black Lives Matter protesters tear down a wrought iron fence to go through a private neighborhood. They were looking for Lyda Crusen's house, the mayor at the time.
Right.
And so they are doing their chanting and their thing, and then they end up in a showdown face-off with Mark and Patty McCloskey. And Mark and Patty were, as we all know, armed.
Right.
And, of course, and then, then Circuit Attorney Kimberly Gardner decides they're going to file charges against Mark and Patty, not the people who tore down private property and destroyed that.
Right.
And were acting in a threatening way.
Of course, the context at the time was this was in the middle of all the BLM stuff.
Right. George Floyd protest.
There was a lot of destruction, a lot of people just kind of out in force, a lot of people very angry out in the streets doing stuff, hurting people, breaking things, and of course the leftists in control of law enforcement and prosecutions and things like that were refusing to do anything about it.
Right, because literally earlier that day, not that far from Mark and Patty's house, over at Forest Park, because they've got their house in the Central West End and some of those private areas, and the King Louis statue. There was word that the Black Lives Matter protesters were going to go deface it.
Right.
And damage it, and several Catholics were there surrounding that and praying, and some of those people got accosted and assaulted.
Yes.
So there literally were people who were assaulted that day. And so Mark and Patty ended up, with this confrontation, and they get charged. Long story short, that Mark pled guilty to a misdemeanor charge, which doesn't affect his law license or anything like that.
Right.
In order to make the whole thing go away.
Right.
Governor Parson then pardons him. And the McCloskey said, well, we want our guns back now. We've been pardoned. And the courts, 2 levels of courts have said, no, we're just keeping them. You don't get them back. Of course, there was some question about whether one of the guns was fixed during the investigation, if the forensic people actually altered it to make it seem, like it's something wasn't, but that's a whole other thing. And so now because they're not giving him his property back, among other reasons, I'm sure, Mark has filed paperwork to try to get that entire conviction, because he did plead guilty to the misdemeanor, get it expunged, and then get his weapons and get his property back.
Right. Yeah. Now, my question is about the misdemeanor charge. Does that allow for the confiscation of the firearm, or would it have to rise to a felony?
It apparently does not have to rise to the felony, because the St. Louis courts and then the appeals court have said, well, no, you pled guilty.
Okay.
Therefore, no, that's part of the sentence, is that you lose your property
right
on this. So that's where it stands right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that when Governor Parson went in and pardoned him, which was the right thing to do.
Absolutely.
Mark was kind of figuring, okay, it's over. We're just wiping the slate clean. We're going to go about our lives, and we're going to live to fight the leftist nonsense another day.
Right.
And so it's kind of just a little slap in the face, a little stick in the back.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, yeah, but you're not getting those weapons back, because we can.
Right.
Because you actually pled guilty. You know, it wasn't even that they were convicted by a judge or a jury. It's you pled guilty to
Right.
it. Now, the pleading guilty was the plea deal, because
Mm-hmm.
originally they were charged with felonies, which was completely stupid and immoral.
Right.
But when you watch the media accounts of it, like, for instance, I looked at Channel 4's here, who are news partners, but I don't care. I'll just say what I'm going to say anyway. It says, St. Louis area attorney who pleaded guilty to a misdemeanor charge for brandishing a firearm at protesters in June 2020 is asking to have that conviction removed from his criminal record. Brandishing a firearm here.
Mm-hmm.
And then it says, they're wanting to file an expungement. And here's the next sentence. McCloskey and his wife on June 28th, 2020, brandished firearms at a group walking in front of their home in the Central West End during protests over the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not a violent mob.
That's a great write-up.
Yeah. They didn't say a violent mob that had already torn down an iron fence,
Mm-hmm.
was marching through private property.
Yeah, they were trespassers already.
Yes.
You know, just on, yes, they were on the quote unquote sidewalk there. But the thing is, if it's a private area, if you're paying homeowners association so you can live in a gated community, that's basically the community property doesn't belong to the entirety of the city. It
Right.
belongs to you and the homeowners association.
Right.
That is your property. So they were already trespassing, having gone through the gate.
But I've yet to see a news report that mentions that, at
Yeah.
least in the last year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because the thing is, most people think of a neighborhood the way most neighborhoods exist,
Right.
where the a kid, you can't yell at a kid on the sidewalk in front of your house for being in front of your house and say, hey, you get off my property, and that's just being
Well,
mean.
you can yell at them.
Well, I mean, yeah.
they can flip you the bird and stay right there.
That's true. But you can't accost them for having trespassed if they're actually on the sidewalk. Like that's what rises in everybody's mind. It's like, hey, they're just out on the street. You can't act this way for people who are out on the street, except it's a different situation in what we're talking about in a private neighborhood.
Yeah, and they had already physically torn down private property.
Yes.
I used to work in the Central West End.
Mhm.
I've seen those fences.
Yeah, they're significant.
They are there for a reason, and they
Yeah.
were built for a reason, and they
Mhm.
are effective. And you just get enough of those, enough people, yanking on it. It eventually gave way.
Mhm.
Now, if you want to have the debate over whether Mark and Patty used the right tactical approach to that or the confrontation, that's a whole separate
Sure.
thing.
That's a different story.
He was on his property.
Mhm.
They felt threatened and they got into a standoff.
Mhm.
And that's what the whole thing came from. Kimberly Gardner decided to go after them instead of the people who were actually committing crimes.
Now, I wonder if Mark could eventually get into a sort of malicious prosecution sort of lawsuit as opposed to asking for the expungement. Maybe this is the opening salvo.
Yeah.
It's like, hey,
Yeah.
expunge it. And they'll say no, and then they'll say, all right, well, I'm going to sue you for malicious prosecution,
Right.
and then have it expunged.
So Mark's on Sunday, right?
Correct.
Yeah, Mark's on Sunday at 5:00, and so I suspect. I mean, I haven't talked to Mark about a show this week, but I'm going to guess that he's going to have his side of this
Yeah.
on this weekend show. And then, of course, you can always catch the Rumble video on our Rumble channel, and you can also catch it on our podcast as well at newstalkstl.com.
Mm-hmm. And he's a lawyer, so I mean, he's got to have something up his sleeve here.
Yeah, and he's a highly successful lawyer. The guy knows what he's doing here.
Right.
Patty is too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting you're seeing Mark McCloskey back in the headlines. That's why.
Yeah.
And then if you really want it, because Mark does not pull punches, there are some lawyers who are very careful with their words because of what could happen, and I'm not really going to commit to anything, and I'm not going to tip my hand. That ain't Mark.
No.
Some lawyers are like, I'm not going to tip my hand. Other lawyers are like Mark, and they're like, hey, here's my hand. Here, see my hand?
Here's the back of my hand, too.
That's right. All right, Missouri State Senate. Let's talk about the shenanigans happening. Let's go from talking about expelling one of the members to having a duel. Let's make duels great again, people. Right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Getting a new floor for your home can be intimidating and a little scary. But that's not the case when you go to Michaels Flooring Outlet. Katie here, and my mom and dad used Michaels, and they had a great experience. They've been a locally owned and operated family business for more than 30 years. You want variety? Michaels has carpet, hardwood, laminate, ceramic tile, luxury vinyl, natural stone, and many other options. Shop in-store at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Dardine Prairie, or St. Peters. Check out everything that Michaels has to offer at igotfloored.com.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
Every day we learn more about what COVID was, wasn't, and what we did not know and we were not told. Latest example, reported by Epoch Times. There was a time, if you recall, when many doctors were seeing patients with myocarditis report, showing up at the hospitals, the emergency pain, symptoms, turned out to be an enlarged lining on their heart. Well, the Epoch Times got hold of an email drafted back in 2021 warning of heart inflammation, myocarditis, and dealing with the Pfizer BioNTech and Moderna COVID-19 vaccines. They were ready with the CDC to send out a warning, an alert, but it never went out. Why? Well, according to one of those involved, we don't want to alarm anyone. Well, the response from Senator Ron Johnson, Republican of Wisconsin, the CDC's apparent decision to not immediately issue a formal alert to clinicians warning about the increased risk of myocarditis, pericarditis, and vaccinated individuals is not only inexcusable, it is malpractice. The way we've handled COVID has been malpractice.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Pigeons, they are everywhere, and they're very good at dive bombing freshly washed cars. Wellington Environmental reminds you those droppings are more than a nuisance. They can be a major health issue, especially massive droppings on buildings or in parking garages. So who do you call to safely clean it up? You do what many hospitals, universities, public buildings already do. You call Wellington Environmental. Wellington Environmental has been dealing with all kinds of hazards for 35 years. Special people, special skills, special equipment. Wellington gets it done. So to avoid health issues ranging from pigeon droppings to mold to chemical leaks, contact Wellington. 314-644-4930. 644-4930. WellingtonSTL.com. Wellington Environmental. Your world cleaner, better, safer. Be well with Wellington.
I answered the call. Together, we fought for our nation and its people. And even though I no longer wear the uniform, I am still a Marine. My service has come full circle. I will continue to support my country and my community. Then and now, Semper Fidelis remains my promise. Always faithful, always Marine.
One of the 5 most traumatic experiences in life is moving. I can assure you that McGuire Moving can help ease that pressure. Moving into a new home or a new business, locally, internationally. McGuire is rated number 1. More than 80 years of experience. Free estimate, call McGuire, 314-241-0600. 241-0600. McGuireMoving.com.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
It seems as if the Democrats no longer view the government's job as protecting honest citizens from criminals.
101.9 and 94.1.
But rather protecting criminals from honest citizens.
News Talk STL.
Good morning, St. Louis. It's Ben Shapiro. I'll talk to you tonight at 11. But right now, back to the Mike Ferguson Show on the new conservative voice of St. Louis, 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Is there anything more Mike Ferguson in the morning than Stryper, 80s metal, and a song called Free?
No, this is it.
Yeah.
If we had to pick an alternative to theme to get up, this would probably be it.
All right, if you're not awake now, I don't know what to tell you on this Flashback Friday. So
probably tripping off alarms everywhere.
That's right.
Let's go.
All right, it is, what the heck time is it? 7:39 right now. I'm Mike Ferguson, got Gabe Pfeiffer here, got Stel Ponticus here. All right, let's do a review here. What a weird week this has been. Now, we knew going into the legislative session on the Missouri side that it was going to be volatile.
Right.
So I'm using all these like smart words. Volatile. It's been unpredictable. It's been, all this kind of stuff.
It's a crap show.
It's been a crap show. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so let's start with Cindy versus Bill.
It's wild.
By the way, Bill Eigel's going to be on this program 7:35 on Monday.
Yeah, we'll see what he has to say about all this.
Do not want to miss that. State Senator Cindy O'Loughlin, the number 2 senator in the entire state Senate. There's Caleb Rowden, number 1, Cindy O'Loughlin, 2, when it comes to leadership positions and power. And she was speaking to the Missouri Press Association yesterday, and she was apparently asked about, is expulsion on the table? And Republican Cindy O'Loughlin said very clearly, not mincing words, that she would like to see Bill Eigel expelled from the state Senate.
That's an amazing declaration right there. I mean, and of course, the follow-up question is, for what?
Because he pulled her pigtails. Because
I'm big man.
Right. Essentially, she's arguing like many of the Caleb Rowdenites are saying that, they're the ones that are shutting down the Senate. They're the ones that are the reason we can't get anything done. They're doing politics. Now, you may not like the way they're doing politics, and we've had a little bit of a discussion debate. Well, did they come out too hot? Are they doing politics, in the right vein? Well, that's a fair discussion on
sure.
that.
I mean, you could ask the question.
Yeah, but basically what they said is, you have been promising for over 2 years that these conservative priority goals are what need to get done, but you found a way to not do it. We're putting you on notice. You're going to get it done.
Yeah.
Or we're going to shut the place down.
Right. And I think they gave them 3 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
And then late in the 3rd week, they said, okay, we're going to filibuster. And then immediately they got nuked.
You know what's really interesting? Cindy O'Loughlin's going to be on the Randy Tobler show this weekend.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, Randy.
So you're going to have that perspective
Let's go.
as well. So Cindy O'Loughlin on Saturday with Randy Tobler, Bill Eigel on Mike Ferguson in the morning on Monday.
Wow. Okay, so we're gonna see the juxtaposition. We're gonna see the full discussion here.
Right.
And this is the only station you could do that.
As far as I know, yeah. And so, but here's the thing with this. So now we've gone to throw him out. Somebody in an elected position, throw him out.
Right. And it's not as though we're talking about somebody who's committed some ethical violation, who's done something completely untoward. It's just a politician doing politics in a political season.
Yeah, and in a way she doesn't like. And essentially what's happened is the leadership has been challenged in a very, very unapologetic, in-your-face way.
Right.
So if the reaction is, sure, all of these are within the rules, within the state constitution, I just don't like it, therefore let's expel them.
Yeah, that
says more about Cindy O'Loughlin than it does anybody else.
It's actually kind of gross when you really think about it. It's like, okay, now we're getting into the territory that the Democrats are doing on national levels, right? They're saying, well, we don't like you, so we should try to get rid of you,
right?
In some way, shape, or form.
The hell with the voters who put you in office.
Exactly. Yeah.
And as a result, there have been multiple central committees, including St. Charles. And some others, Cass County and a number of others, who have issued statements condemning Caleb Rowden and Cindy O'Loughlin for the tactics that they are taking.
Yes.
In dealing with the Freedom Caucus.
As they should. They should roundly be condemned for going this far.
Okay. Another thing that happened this week. And again, okay, I saw the headlines that popped up as somebody texted me a headline last night. Then I saw it again this morning where it said a Missouri state senator files proposal to bring back duels. And I swear the first thing that went through my mind is that had to be Nick Schroer.
That had to be, yes.
Had to be Nick Schroer.
Absolutely.
And I was right.
That's the Viking way to go. Yeah, I think... And I think the best thing about it is how pearl clutchy everybody got about it, as though it was really a serious, like, oh my gosh, these conservatives want to take us back to the 1700s with pistols at dawn. It's like,
no, high noon.
Oh, sorry,
high noon.
You're right. It was high noon.
It says right in the proposal.
This is high noon.
High noon,
and in the well of the Senate. Of the Senate.
Right.
So yes, exactly, that's true. It wouldn't be. On a hillside of with willow trees in the background at dawn. It's in the well of the Senate.
Yes.
Probably with like water pistols.
Yeah, because you would have to agree on the weapons.
Right.
And so it's funny. Pearl clutching is the perfect way to put it, Gabe.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. How could you?
How dare you?
People died in duels. But if let's say that I don't know. I'm trying. Greg Razor, liberal state senator from Kansas City, makes a smack talk about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Sure.
So Nick Schroer says, "You have offended me.
My honor is impugned.
Following the process, we shall negotiate the weapons and the date." And they end up with Nerf gun darts or something to do that. Honestly, pearl clutching aside, I think that would actually be kind of something that could break a little bit of the tension just for a human nature.
Just diffuse it a little bit.
A little bit. Just bring it down a notch. But Nick's making a bigger point here on this. And is he trolling people? Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Totally trolling people.
How do you get national headlines otherwise?
Yeah. And Nick is making a sarcastic point, and in this particular case, he's doing it really well.
Absolutely. Now, I wonder, what listeners would choose as their weapon of choice. If you are a state senator,
yes,
and your honor is impugned, you have been offended by your contemporaries there.
Mm-hmm.
You have your second write a letter to them to say you have impugned the character of my first, and we challenge you to a duel. And then you negotiate the terms. What is your opening line? Is like, here are the weapons I propose to do this duel.
Okay, let's start with Stell. What's your weapon of choice? Now, he may turn around and say 357 Magnum. I don't know. But
I don't know. Stell might have that side to him.
No, I like the one that you mentioned, Gabe, about the gun. Not the
water
the gun with the gun with the Nerf balls.
Yeah.
Oh, the Nerf guns.
Or
yes.
the little darts.
Nerf guns.
Yeah, little Nerf darts. Yeah.
I kind of like that one.
Yep. That's a pretty good one. That's I think that might be a standard just because they're so easy to get. If you walk a few feet into the gym that's connected to my church, you'll find them all over the place because the youth group uses them all the time.
Because if you do something with water pistols, then everything
That's
gets
true.
wet.
Everything is wet. That's true. The Nerf, you could probably go away with. Now me, I would go with lightsabers.
Of course you would.
Of course I would. And the requirement you would have to pick your alignment. So you'd either be light side or dark side. You'd have to dress appropriately. So dark robe or brown
Those are all
robe.
the terms you negotiate.
These are the terms I would negotiate. And the fight would have to be done in low light in the well in order to accentuate the movement of the lightsabers.
Didn't Nerf for a little bit have a Nerf bow and arrow?
Oh, yes.
See, that's what I would propose.
I've seen those. Oh, bow and arrow.
Because
okay.
somebody shoots and misses, the other one just got to stand there.
Right. That's true.
That's the choice. That's the one I would make. All right, so I'm going to watch Rumble. You watch the other social media. What would be your weapon of choice in a Missouri State Senate style duel? I would love to know that.
Yes.
All right, so
your honor is on the line, people.
All right, let's see here. Oh, wow, Vicky's hardcore.
Oh,
She says bottle rockets.
Oh, bottle rocket fight.
Dang, Vicky.
Rubber bullets.
Don't impugn the honor of Vicky.
Oh, man.
She will light your ass up.
For real.
Man.
I think somebody mentioned cow pies.
Yes, there was a cow pie, which, hey, you know what? In the state capitol, there's no shortage of ammo. There's a lot of bullshit
stuff.
There's a lot of ammo there.
Yes,
Let's put it this way. All right, we've got Not Today, Satan coming your way around 7:51 here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
When you're approaching retirement, there are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Hi, I'm Eric Robert, Director of Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risks before you retire. Our team can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, it's Tony Colombo. The new year is upon us, and the cleaning pros at Zero Res are starting things off with a bang with what I think is their best offer ever. Book a cleaning in January and mention the Colombo special, and you'll get 3 rooms of carpet cleaned starting at just $119, plus you can take $50 off an air duct cleaning. We trust Zero Res with our home, and after you take advantage of this amazing special, you will too. Just remember to mention the Colombo special when you call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Who's playing guitar right now on this song?
Oh, yeah.
Eddie Van Halen.
That's right.
Eddie Van Halen. By the way, you asked the question, what would be your weapon of choice in a Nick Schroer duel?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we got so far. Dueling spatulas.
Spatulas. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Let's see
that's
here.
Close quarters combat
By the way,
right there.
when you said lightsabers,
Yes.
the Duke on Rumble says, I would expect nothing less from Gabe.
Yes.
Blues Nut says CO2 pepper ball gun at 50 feet.
Oh, boy.
Rizon says paintball guns. He says, don't want anybody to die, but it sure hurt to get your point across.
Absolutely. And those sting and leave bruises, I'll tell you what.
Martin emailed me saying paintball guns with ink.
Okay, yes.
All right.
Yeah, there we go.
So keep them coming. What would be your weapon of choice in a Missouri State Senate duel?
I love it.
Oh, my goodness. All right. By the way, 805 here. We talked about a number of states that they're trying to put in laws to say you have to register your age to be on social media and other things. There's a lawsuit against one of those laws in Utah because these are supposed to protect kids.
Right.
And so we're talking to one of the lawyers who's suing to get rid of that on First Amendment grounds. So that conversation is coming your way at 8:05. But right now, hey, it's 7:52 on a Friday, Gabe.
This segment is brought to you by Paw Factory Pet Supplies. Enter code NOTTODAY, for 15% off your treats, toys, and training equipment at pawfactory.co. That's pawfactory.co. Now, without further ado, it's the weird, the wacky, and the worrisome. These are the stories that make you say.
Look all the devil.
Oh, hell no.
This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening.
Devil.
Just another way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Amen. Okay, the good news is St. Louis made another top 20 list.
All right.
Yeah. Now, the bad news is it's the list of U.S. cities with the worst bed bug problems.
Oh.
The National Pet Control Company, Orkin, compiled the list after recording the metro areas where it performed the most bed bug treatments from December 1st, 2022 to November 30th, 2023. Now, if you've never seen them, bed bugs are tiny wingless parasites with flat oval-shaped bodies that are brown in color unless they're good and full from feeding, at which point they'll appear more reddish.
For some reason, the whole just idea of bed bugs just grosses me out horribly.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Probably more than it should, but really grosses me.
Well, it's a horror show because the thing is they tend to live in the bed frame, like wood bed frames and things like that, and they come out at night when you're sleeping there. So it's like you don't see anything. No, there's no problems. You go to bed, night, everybody. Don't let the bed bugs, here they come. And then they get you. Now, most people find out they have bed bugs in the worst way, waking up covered in itchy bites, typically in lines or clusters on the face, neck, arms, and hands. Do you feel itchy yet?
Yes. Stop. Yes.
All right. Our next story here. A Canadian amusement park ride turned into nightmare fuel back in September after stopping suddenly, suspending passengers upside down 75 feet above the ground.
No! God, please, no! No! No!
Okay, so the ride is called the Lumberjack. It's the Lumberjack ride located in Canada's Wonderland theme park in Ontario. It contains two hydraulic arms shaped like axes that swing back and forth, occasionally propelling themselves into full 360-degree swings, right? Sounds fun, right? Both of the axes, for reasons unknown, stopped in mid-swing and left riders with blood rushing into their heads for nearly 30 minutes.
So it just locked up.
It just locked up.
Oh,
and
man.
you're sitting there upside down. Now you're locked in, but yeah, 30 minutes upside down doesn't sound like fun.
I mean, that could really injure somebody.
Absolutely. Now, while two people were treated for chest pains, thankfully everyone came through unscathed. But that's reason number 127 why I don't do amusement park rides anymore.
Man,
okay.
massive headaches.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing it's not fun anymore. I don't know what happened when I became an old man, but I think it was when I stopped finding amusement park rides fun.
That was one of those aha moments for me. It's like, hey, you want to do the roller coaster? Nah.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. I used to like those things.
I did too. I used to like them. But I'm like, Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, it was me taking my daughter on those because Janet was like, I have vertigo, I can't do these. But so I would do that, and then at some point I was like, you know what, this actually isn't fun. Right. I don't like this.
You go on, honey.
You go on, honey.
I'll watch you do
I'll
it.
watch the
I'll
stuff.
watch you do it. I'm going to get a Slurpee.
I'll take a picture of you when you come by.
It's not amusing.
It is not amusing. I am not amused at the amusement part. Okay, now our final story here. Animal rescuers in California helped a homeowner evict an unwanted squatter. A bear trapped under the house.
Well, isn't that special?
I'd rather have the bear than the bed bugs.
Yeah. That's true. The bears are cuter. The Bear League said in a Facebook post that the North Lake Tahoe man spotted a bear in the crawl space under his home and initially called his handyman to get rid of the animal. I don't know why you do that. No. Now, the handyman did not see the bear and decided to install bear wires at the crawl space opening to prevent the Bruin from returning, inadvertently trapping the sizable brown bear inside.
Oh, jeez.
So eventually,
so now he's mad.
So now he's mad. He's like, "What did you do to me, bro?" Okay, so eventually, the Bear League came through, temporarily uninstalled the wire, and coaxed the uninvited guest back into the woods. Look, when it comes to squatters, especially the 400-pound omnivorous, monstrous kind, you know what I'm saying.
Because the devil.
Oh, hell no. This can't be happening, man. This isn't happening. Devil. Just another way to be sure.
Not today, Satan. Not today. Amen.
Amen.
Oh, man. The bed bug thing still bugs me. Because you know, where's the next Olympics is in, Paris, I think it is? Is
Yeah,
that
I think
right?
so.
And they have had a massive bed bug outbreak.
Yeah.
They are trying, because it's really hard to get those things under control.
It's really bad.
And
yeah.
it doesn't matter. You may think, oh, I'm not going to go get that cheap, gross motel. This is happening in 5-star hotels.
Yeah,
as
it doesn't
well.
matter.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Sounds romantic, doesn't it?
That really bites.
Oh!
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. Ouch! Well, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers. If you administer insulin 3 or more times per day or use an insulin pump, call now and learn how a CGM can help you.
Painless. No more pricking my finger.
No finger pricks.
Convenience. They delivered it free and they took care of all the paperwork.
You can reduce pain right away. Plus, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you spend more time in range. And if you have insurance, you can get a new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. Call now and get free shipping of your new CGM. Plus, we'll bill your insurance for you. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. 800-432-8150. That's 800-432-8150.
It's a new year, so come check out the great financing offers going on now at Seavers JCB. Rates as low as 0.99% on nearly all JCB compact construction equipment, including the industry-leading JCB Teleskid. For details, go to SeaversJCB.com. Mini excavators, track loaders, small wheel loaders, and even the industry-leading JCB compact load all range. Seavers JCB has them all. Visit SeaversJCB.com for more information.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Sam Sorbo.
Children want to learn. And so what could be easier than teaching a child who wants to learn? Why it becomes difficult is because they make it such drudgery that the children give up on learning. They go, well, this is not fun. This is awful. When you set the child free, then they learn everything. They learn faster than you can possibly imagine.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomas. If you worry about the possibility of another 9/11, you are not alone. A group of those in the know sounding an alarm over the crisis on our southern border. A group of 10 retired FBI directors and counterintelligence experts have sent a letter to Congress warning of the potentially catastrophic impact of President Biden's open border policies. They note a flood of military-aged men from nations hostile to the U.S. are entering the country, including young men from China and Russia. Quoting from the letter, "The threat we call out today is new and unfamiliar. In its modern history, the U.S. has never suffered an invasion of the homeland, and yet one is unfolding now," end quote. Ken Lorman reporting. Texas Governor Greg Abbott, he accuses President Biden of abdicating his responsibility for securing the border and upholding immigration law, is overseeing the strengthening of razor wire barriers that Texas has erected along the border. 25 other states are applauding Abbott's efforts. Former President Trump says those states ought to consider sending National Guard troops to Texas to help secure the porous southern border. In Connecticut,
we've suffered a very serious setback here in downtown New London with the loss of one of the oldest and certainly one of the most gorgeous religious structures in the city.
New London Mayor Michael Pissarro telling WFSB-TV the main steeple and roof of historic First Congregational Church collapsed. That church was built in 1850. There's no word on the cause, but at least no one was hurt. Federal Reserve's preferred gauge of inflation shows prices rose 0.2% last month from the month before. Compared with a year ago, prices up 2.6%, and the same in the prior month. And on Wall Street, Dow futures up 11 points. Townhall.com.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Hello, this is Chad Clayman with ClaymanGroup.com, KLAMEN Group.com, where we buy houses direct and as is condition. Did you just inherit a house and you're not sure what to do with it? Maybe it's got a lot of stuff in there and you're really not sure what to do with the stuff and how to sell the house. Well, we do a lot of work with people that inherited property. We're very familiar with the estate courts and the probate courts. So if you have a house you just inherited, please reach out today. We'd love to make you an offer and simplify your real estate situation. KLAMEN Group.com.
Hi, this is Ron Clutho. Join me for Groovy Grooves every Saturday to hear songs like this and memories that will take you back to a groovier place and time. Be sure to check out the playlist at newstalkstl.com for more Groovy Grooves.
And now for something completely different.
Groovy Grooves with Ron Clutho, Saturday nights at 10 on News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson.
We the people.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
It's not rocket science. Rocket science.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm? Get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
There's no question that we want to protect young people from all the bad stuff that's on social media. all bad stuff that's on the internet. Now, of course, there's a lot of great stuff as well, but that's kind of beside the point when you look at the debate over what's happening in one state. There's a new law that would require verifications, especially for young people. But is this something that could affect your right to free speech? And do we have to weigh those rights against the safety? It's a very serious question because this is a discussion that's happening around the country. It just happens to be coming to a head in Utah. I'm Mike Ferguson. I am now joined by Bob Korn-Revere. He is legal counsel with the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression, or otherwise known as FIRE. And Bob, appreciate you being on the program here. Let me start with this law that's happening in Utah that's about to go into effect, as I understand it. Let's first talk about what it would change for Utah residents. Then let's get into why people have problems with this legislation.
Well, first, Mike, thanks for having me on. Happy to discuss this law. Just as background, FIRE just filed a lawsuit on behalf of a number of Utah residents who are users of social media, including one who's a minor and 3 who are adults, and based on the effect of this law on their social media use. The problem with laws like the one in Utah is that it treats this as a one-size-fits-all solution for anything that is considered to be harmful or wrong with social media. Obviously, this has been a topic that people are interested in and concerned about. There has been a Surgeon General's advisory on use of social media. The American Psychological Association has weighed in. But what they have to say is that in some circumstances, social media can be harmful for some people in some circumstances at some times, even though it recognizes the overall benefits of using social media for both minors and adults. And so what the Utah law does is limit everybody's First Amendment rights because in some circumstances, social media use might not be the best for individuals. And so it's like saying that because some books are inappropriate for minors, we need to put all books under lock and key.
We've got some conservative and some more left-leaning organizations who kind of buy into this, and even some of those who are on the presidential campaign. And I don't want to get into the politics of it, Bob, but one of the arguments that people make is, hey, if you're underage, because what this would do is it would mandate everybody to verify their age. So basically register somehow with your age to be a part of social media. And we may say, well, Bob, we got to prove your age if you want to buy alcohol. You got to prove your age if you want to get a driver's license. You got to prove your age if you want certain jobs. So why would this be any difference? How does this affect some of our rights to say you've got to show your age to prove that you're going to have access to this part of the economy or the marketplace of ideas?
Well, it's because speech is inherently different. The First Amendment protects our right to speech, including the right to an open internet. The idea that everybody, adults or minors alike, have to show their ID or some government-approved method before they can engage in social media is directly contrary to those kinds of constitutional guarantees. If you walk into a convenience store and say you want to buy a six-pack, that's it's not an infringement on your rights if the clerk says I have to see your ID first. But here we're talking about a global medium of communication where the state of Utah is now saying your papers, please, if you want to engage in protected speech.
There have been some who have argued that, you know what, this is a tool to help parents and protect them because we know that there are kids who get online and they don't tell their parents. Frankly, if you got a teenager, I'm sure they've done something online that you don't know about as a parent. And so some people pitch this as, okay, well, we're going to make them go through a couple hoops. And that way the parents have an ally in trying to protect their kids from the bad stuff. And Bob, they're going to argue protecting the kids from the bad stuff is worth a little hassle. Why do you disagree?
Well, first of all, it's more than just a little hassle. This law imposes a blunderbuss approach that limits both the rights of adults and minors. And, you know, ever since the internet has been around, people have been arguing that parents need help. And there's no argument there, which is why the online companies, including all of the major social media platforms, provide a myriad choice of tools for managing how the family participates in social media, including the ability to limit the number of hours that members of the family, including kids, are online, including having various kinds of other content management tools to try and review that. But the problem is that not every family is the same, or another way to put it, every family is different, and some circumstances are not circumstances where you necessarily celebrate the levels of parental control. In the case that we're bringing, for example, two of our plaintiffs escaped from fundamentalist polygamist communities where, as minors, they were under complete control of the adults around them. They were in very threatening circumstances, and yet the Utah law treats them as all the same as every other family and limits the ability of minors to be rescued from situations like that.
We are visiting with Bob Corn Revere from the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Let me ask a point of clarification on the law. And like I said, this law is what's happening in Utah right now, but there are discussions of this nationwide as well, which is, Bob, why I wanted to bring this up, because the principles that you're dealing with in this particular case is something that we're also debating nationally. Would the law also require all adults? So if I lived in Utah, would I have to register and verify my age to get a new social media account under this law, which is scheduled to go into effect in March?
Yes, all residents of Utah, presumptively under the law, would have to verify their age in order to have a social media account. And by the way, that also means that the possibility of having anonymous speech is compromised, because once you have to show your age, obviously that has to be connected to your personal information. There's also the risk that to comply with this, because the geolocation abilities of online media companies are not perfect, that people from outside of Utah would be affected by this as well.
When we look at the dangers, and let me kind of go back to where we started on this, Bob, we know there are predators who use this as a tool. We know there's dangerous stuff. We know there's toxic stuff out there. Is there a balance to be made between safety and our right to free speech and our liberties? Or is this a matter of we simply have to find that protection in a way that doesn't infringe on this at all? Because I can imagine somebody's listening to us right now, Bob, and they're saying, but wait a minute, you're letting these kids be riskier. They could be contacted by you're talking about anonymous speech, could be contacted by a predator who's hiding behind a social media account. We know that happens. So where do we include the safety aspect, if at all, in the conversation about free speech? Because that's got a very strong emotional pull.
It does. And I think those safety concerns have been addressed from the beginning, again, by having ways to try and trace, allowing parents to monitor their social media use of their kids, of various organizations to receive reports when you have predators and such online. But keep in mind that laws like this Utah law are not directed at predators per se. They're directed at the fact of human communication in general. The idea that kids may stay up too late because they are engaged in social media, or they may see a video on a particular social media platform that they think promotes unsafe behavior or whatever. It is directed purely at the content, and says that the best way to limit that is to simply limit access to content, good, bad, or indifferent. And that's not the way the First Amendment works. To impose limits on speech, and there are limits under the Constitution on what speech could be permissible. The speech is constitutionally protected presumptively, and then it is up to the government to demonstrate, when it's going to limit speech, that it's doing so in the least restrictive way possible. Now, there are other states that have dealt with this problem in, I think, more productive ways. For example, New Jersey adopted a law that requires media education and media literacy from kindergarten through grade 12. And it would teach people and provide education at all levels for how to avoid things like online predators, how to deal with risky content online, how to evaluate good information from bad information. And that is a much more productive and more constitutionally sound way of dealing with these issues.
All right. The blog post that I saw called Utah's Clumsy Attempt to Child-Proof Social Media is an Unconstitutional Mess. Bob Korn-Revere from Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. Bob, how do we get in touch and keep up with this case and everything else you do?
Well, come to the FIRE website, and that is at thefire.org. And you'll be able to see information on this and the other free speech battles that we wage at FIRE.
All right. Thank you so much for this conversation, Bob. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, here's the thing is that there are, national figures. The Heritage Foundation is on board with some kind of age verification. Nikki Haley has basically said that everybody should have to register to be on social media. So this isn't just a left-wing thing. This is happening on both sides of the aisle. Now, what do you think? You may disagree. Let's talk about it. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Try to make me stop, no inspiration. You have a soul so dark, it is no more. And all at once depart, no destination. You're making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had another.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL.
Stop it right now.
Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's obvious. The unthinkable continues. Most Americans know something very wrong is happening. People in charge keep telling you that everything's fine and to stop noticing. But you know better. That's why self-reliant folks are investing in emergency food storage. And you should too. My Patriot Supply, the nation's largest emergency preparedness company, are the ones you can trust. Go to mypatriotsupply.com and secure their best-selling 3-month emergency food kits. Each contains tasty breakfasts, lunches, and dinners averaging over 2,000 calories per day. Save $200 on each 3-month food kit you purchase. My Patriot Supply also sells solar generators, gravity-powered water filters, off-grid room heaters for when the power goes out, heirloom seeds, and survival gear. Order by 3 p.m. and your items ship that same day and arrive quickly on your doorstep in unmarked boxes. Go to mypatriotsupply.com today. Time is running out to prepare for what's coming. mypatriotsupply.com.
We know you have lawns to mow, work sites to build, fields to manage, and jobs to finish. With over 100 years of experience, Seidenstricker Nobe will be with you every step of the way. Our customers are the center of everything we do. Find affordable pricing, low monthly payments, and easy financing options on all our John Deere equipment. With 27 locations to serve you, Seidenstricker Nobe Partners is your source for everything John Deere. snpartners.com.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote and accelerate the development of quality Christ-centered K-12 education.
Hi, this is Daryl Jones, president of the Herzog Foundation. Our primary goal is to advance Christian education so that families and culture flourish. The legacy of Stan's business career centers around making national transit ecosystems accessible and sustainable. Likewise, the legacy of Stan's philanthropy centers around making the ecosystems of Christian education more accessible and sustainable for families across the nation. Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more about our programs, including trainings, scholarships, conferences, news, and our podcast, Making the Leap.
Visit HerzogFoundation.com to learn more and sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. HerzogFoundation.com.
This is 1019 and 94.1.
Female millennial Trump supporter. I listen to it like every day. Like, seriously, you get it.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, there. Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I forgot about this song.
Depeche Mode.
Yeah, because we had a Depeche Mode request.
That's it.
For Flashback Friday. And if you want to say, what were those songs, go to newstalkstl.com, look at the Mike Ferguson in the Morning page, and the bump music is going to be posted on there a little bit later on today. Okay, so we've gone from filibusters to expel him pretty fast.
Yeah, really.
If nothing else, this has been an eventful Missouri legislative session. Now, eventful doesn't mean useful.
It just means a lot has happened.
But it's been eventful.
Yes.
All right, so also the legal fight for Mark McCloskey not over. He's going back to court. And then let's make duels great again. And by the way, we've got a lot of people commenting because you asked the question, Gabe.
Yeah.
If you had to do a Nick Schroer duel in the state senate, what would be your weapon of choice?
Right.
So 8:35, we've got a number of these, so keep them coming. I'm Mike Ferguson. Gabe Pfeiffer's here. Stel Ponticus is here. It is 8:21. All right, let's kind of, we got a lot of stuff going on people need to know about. Let's just kind of dump all the stuff you need to know real quick here.
Yep.
All right. Now, one of the Missouri State Senate leaders says she'd like to see Bill Eigel expelled from that body. So we've gone from you can't be a committee chairman to...
And you can't park here.
And you can't park here. to you can't be here at all.
Right, exactly.
If I had my way. Now, she admits that she's not going to get the votes for that, but State Senator Cindy O'Loughlin made those comments on Thursday to reporters. And remember, after Caleb Rowden, Cindy O'Loughlin is the second highest ranking member of the Senate. And tomorrow, live right here on News Talk STL at 10 minutes after 8:10, Cindy O'Loughlin is going to be on the Randy Tobler Show to make her case for her side of this.
Yeah.
And then 7:35 in the morning on Monday, Bill Eigel is going to be on this program as well. So you can hear from both sides right here on the station. All right, some other things happening around the country. The seriousness of the southern border is really sending things kind of to a fever pitch, which is frankly where it's got to be. And what's happened now, as you know, that the Supreme Court ruled with the Biden administration on, I would say, Susie Moore described it in Rumble as a kind of a procedural ruling.
Right.
So it's not a final say here, but Texas and the White House still continuing their legal fight over how to secure the southern border, as in Texas wants to secure it, the White House not so much.
Right.
And, of course, after that court ruling that said that the federal government could take down the razor wire, Texas Governor Greg Abbott pushed back against that, not just in court, but also by putting up more razor wire.
Yeah.
Saying, hey, if they say you can cut it down, good for you. Here's a bunch more razor wire as well. So the governor was on America's Newsroom on Fox.
Because the Biden administration has really, truly abdicated its responsibility to secure the border and enforce the laws, Texas very simply is securing the border.
Okay, so get this. The White House response to this, Gabe, has been the administration says the razor wire is interfering with the federal border agents' ability to do their job, which the White House says is handling the influx of illegal immigrants.
Oh, okay. All right. So yes. So as we welcome the invading army and we hand them their papers to say, yeah, come back in 3 years and talk to me. The razor wire is preventing us from allowing more people to come through in various places along the border.
How do you give them all their free stuff if they can't get to you because of the razor wire in the between you?
Have you seen some of these stupid videos of people just being forlorn on the other side of the razor? It's like, man, I can't come through here.
Right.
It's like, oh man, it's like,
how cruel.
It's like this is I came all this way. It's like, go home.
Right.
MF go home.
Now you know the way.
Yes.
Now you know the way back.
Yes.
You came here. All right. Real quick question here, Gabe. Do you think filing for jobless benefits in America went up or went down last week?
Filings for jobless benefits. I think they went up. At the very least, they went up for some media people who are being let go of their jobs, newspapers and whatnot.
Here's the overall result.
The Labor Department says applications for unemployment benefits rose to 214,000 for the week ending January 20th. That was an increase of 25,000 from the previous week. Overall, 1.83 million Americans were collecting jobless benefits during the week that ended January 13th. That's an increase of 27,000 from the previous week. Weekly unemployment claims are viewed as representative for the number of U.S. layoffs in a given week. Bob Agnew reporting.
And there are more layoffs coming in different sectors, including in Missouri down by the Boot Heel. An aluminum smelter with hundreds of jobs is looks like going to be shut down. Just the market, and there aren't that many aluminum smelters. So there's a push now. Josh Hawley and some others saying that President Biden should invoke the Defense Authorization Act and basically force the business to stay open and keep the aluminum flowing into the market. So
I really don't like that.
Seizing the means of production, you're not a big fan of that?
I really don't like that.
All right. Speaking of Josh Hawley, he was talking with Harris Faulkner on the Faulkner Focus yesterday on Fox about something else. The Hawaii legislature, got another state that wants to talk about Trump on the ballot.
Oh, okay.
Hawaii legislature is debating a bill that would ban candidates who, and I'm using their words here, who have engaged in insurrection or rebellion from the state's primary ballot. And the way that's written, it's written to ban Donald Trump, as we all know.
Yes.
Here's what Senator Hawley had to say.
They're telling voters, we don't want you to have the choice. We don't want you to be able to elect the president of your choice. We don't want you to even be able to weigh the options. We're going to take it away from you. We're going to decide beforehand who can be on the ballot, who can't, who can be president, who can't. It is totally, radically unconstitutional.
I did not realize this up until today, but if you count up all of the challenges of any level, from the, they filed something, but it's not going anywhere, to it's already been passed, there are challenges to having Trump on the primary ballot in 30 states.
Oh, wow.
30.
Man.
Now, that doesn't mean he's going to have a legal challenge in 30 states, but there are people trying to throw him off the ballot in 30 states.
Yeah, of course. Because, I mean, that's really the purpose of the insurrection language that they were using way back. That was all set up so they could do stuff like this.
Exactly. Okay, get this. There is a lawmaker in the state of California who wants the government to control how fast you can drive.
Wait, don't we have a speed limit?
Well, yeah, but that's they have to catch you in order to prosecute you for that, to punish you for this. And so what we have here, and I'm trying to find my paperwork
your
on
copy
this.
there.
But yeah, there's a state senator, and this guy comes up with all kinds of just crazy ideas. His name is State Senator. Let me find it here. His name it's right in front of me here. Oh, there it is. Okay. California lawmaker trying to pass a bill that would force all new vehicles to have a speed governor.
Oh, there it is.
So that nobody could go more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit. This is State Senator Scott Wiener talking about his plan.
It will require cars and trucks that are manufactured or sold in California to contain what we call speed governors or speed limiters that physically prevent the vehicle from traveling more than 10 miles an hour above the speed limit. It'll still be illegal to go above the speed limit, of course, but it will be physically impossible to make the car go more than 10 miles an hour over the speed limit.
Direct control is what they want.
Yes.
Direct control. I remember we were talking about the kill switch. Wasn't there a bill for, I think it was at the federal level. They were talking about having all cars manufactured after 2026, like something like that, having a kill switch in it so the government can just shut your car off remotely.
Right. Yeah.
You got the speed governor, you got the kill switch, you got your maybe your ignition is tied to your social credit score. You know what I mean? It's like when is it in? They want to control every single aspect of your freaking life.
And let's even look at the immediate effect. You've got a loved one or a friend who's having a heart attack. And you need to get them to the hospital right freaking now.
Right. You can't wait on the ambulance.
Right.
You got to go.
You got to go. And so this would not allow you to do that. Your child is hurt. Anything like that. There's a tornado behind you. You need to get that way.
Right. My gosh.
Anything like that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I mean, you're running from the cops in a Fast and Furious situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's exactly. This is why we can't have these things.
Somebody had a spec script that I read not too long ago about a world where cars are controlled by like a central system, so nobody drives. They just sit in their little electric vehicles that are controlled by and you know who ruled everything? The guys with the gas cars. that like old school gas cars that are not connected to the network, and they were just running heists and all kinds of things.
Take care of your cars.
Take care of your cars. Learn how to work on a carburetor.
Okay, a couple quick notes here. Over 100 puppies are soon going to be available for adoption through the Animal Protective Association in Brentwood.
Okay.
That's where we found Rosie.
Yeah.
And my daughter Amber found her cat, Toothless.
Little fur babies.
Yep. The pups have been surrendered by multiple commercial breeding operations in southern Missouri.
So they're shutting down.
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
Die.
So the pups have been surrendered. The APA has about 20 of them at the shelter right now.
Okay.
They're doing the final, veterinary checks and all that.
Yep.
They could be available for adoption as early as tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
And then the others will be coming in after that.
Yay, puppies.
Yep. But more information is going to be at apamo.org. I don't know those people other than we've been there to get our cat. We had a really good experience there in Brentwood, just off Hanley Road there in Brentwood is where you're going to find them. So if you're interested in the pups, that's where they're going to be. All right, the Blues wrap up their 3-game road trip tonight in Seattle. Tonight's game is the late one for the NHL. Starts at 9 o'clock our time. Blues have won their last 3 games. They've had to fight, kick, and scratch to get those last 2 wins, but they did it. Blues versus who?
The Kraken.
Blues versus the Kraken is on ESPN Plus.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We walk together, we're walking down the street. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough. Every time I think of you, I know we have to meet. I just can't get enough. I just can't get enough.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Patchy fog out there again this morning, but for most of us, not nearly as thick as it has been the last couple of days. Clouds still in control, though, and maybe a little drizzle possible through the morning, up to 47 this afternoon. Cloudy tonight, patches of fog down to 37. Saturday brings another chance of rain. Some showers around St. Louis, but chances are actually higher south and east of town. Tomorrow's high 44. Mostly cloudy and dry for Sunday, and the much-anticipated return of the sunshine comes on Monday. That's your First Alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
Red state governors rally around Governor Abbott and Texas's constitutional right to defend itself from invasion. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
There is strength in numbers, and Republican leaders have figured it out. After the Supreme Court ruled that the Biden administration can remove the razor wire Texas installed to protect its border with Mexico, Governor Greg Abbott held his ground. Instead of caving to the Biden regime, Governor Abbott instead maintains that his state has a constitutional right to defend itself from invasion, especially since the Biden regime refuses to enforce the laws on the books. Since red state governors around the country, including Governors DeSantis, Lee, Sanders, Youngkin, and others, have pledged their support of Governor Abbott and the great state of Texas. At last, it's about time conservative leaders banded together in solidarity. There is no issue more important to the future of this nation than immigration. Texas and its leaders are well within not only their rights, but duty to stop or at least soften the invasion. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
Hi, I'm Jen Wallner.
And I'm Rodney Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Rodney, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission rate?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
When's the best time to sell your home?
Right now. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Is your family prepared for the financial burden of losing a loved one?
Are you aware of the cost of a funeral?
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for lifetime permanent final expense insurance coverage with no medical exam required.
Just answer a few health questions, and once accepted, your rates never increase.
Do you have diabetes? High blood pressure?
Have you had a heart attack? A stroke?
No problem.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial can help protect your legacy.
Call or text 314-866-8886. That's 314-866-8886.
To learn more about permanent lifetime final expense insurance coverage.
Benjamin Schaefer with Senior Memorial could help you qualify for immediate coverage by answering just a few health questions.
Call or text 314-866-8886 or learn more at memorialplans.com. That's memorialplans.com.
Policies underwritten by Senior Life Insurance Company. Not available in all states.
Hi, everybody. It's Todd Showalter from The Right Mind Show. The weather is cold, the world is woke, and our president is a joke.
Gee, Todd, it sounds like people need something to be happy about.
You're darn right, Joey. That's why every Saturday from 5 until 6, it's The Right Mind Show.
Boy, I feel giddy.
I bet you do. That's because we put the fun in our dysfunctional world.
I want to sing.
Not now.
I'm full of joy.
Yeah, well, we're full of something, Joey.
It's The Right Mind Show with Todd Showalter. Saturday afternoons at 5 on News Talk STL. This is what's happening.
These are individuals that were known terrorists that we have caught crossing the southern border. Texas has a right to secure their borders and secure their state because this administration is failing to do that.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Tune in to us at 8 p.m. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
What? What? What did he say?
He didn't.
Something about the Great Lakes.
I heard Great Lakes.
I heard beer.
I heard
That's probably is more
I heard beer in the middle of Great.
That's probably more reflective of me. But
okay, wait.
Maybe he was thinking of Ham's beer.
Okay,
you know,
there you go.
Is there any help from context? Was he speaking? Where was he?
He was somewhere up north.
So probably definitely beer.
Oh, he was at the UAW.
Maybe, yeah, that was it.
Yeah, the UAW thing.
Beer in the Great Lakes. Okay, they identify with those things. So he managed to fit those words into the whatever was going on.
Because Hams comes from the land of 10,000 lakes,
yeah,
from Minnesota. And speaking of that UAW meeting, you know, we talked about that yesterday.
Yeah.
And Shane Fine, I think is
Sean Fine. Yeah, Sean
Fein?
Fein, I
Sean
think you
Fein.
pronounce it. But spelled Fine, but Fein, yeah.
He made a comment afterwards, and I don't know if many folks saw this. I believe it was a CNN interview. He was very blunt about saying, yeah, I realize a lot of our union members are going to vote for Trump. And he
really?
Was he was very upfront about it.
Because they're angry when that's a loyalty issue for the union. But basically, the union tells you to do this. Their mindset is, we voted, do it because we voted.
Yes.
They expect loyalty to the union.
Yes. Well, to them and the leadership in particular.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, as far as the rest of the context with what President Biden was just saying there, I have no clue.
I kind of want to hear it again.
Go ahead.
Would you like to hear it again?
Yeah, please.
More Bidenisms.
That's right. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Very regal music.
Oh,
too.
yeah.
I love that part of it.
The beer brewed here, it is used to make the brew beer in this refinery. Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the Great Lakes.
Here's the thing. He had a teleprompter in front of him.
Okay, I heard the beer brewed here. Like, I did manage to make that out. The beer brewed here.
You know my favorite part was?
Great Lakes.
My favorite part?
Yeah.
Oh, Earth Rider, thanks for the great lake.
Yeah.
Rider, great for the.
We need a Biden translator. It's like at the UN.
Yeah.
You need a translator.
Somebody's got their earpiece on that.
Oh my gosh! Could you imagine being part of his comms team?
Can you imagine being the like sign language interpreter?
Now what do I do?
Oh no, I forgot. I forgot about that. Okay, my best friend and his wife, they're best friends with our Janet and I. She is a sign language interpreter.
Okay.
She learned how to do that. She works for Deaf Inc. that does sign language interpretation for the whole region.
Like you call
here.
them and like, hey, I need to hire somebody to do this. We're doing a speech. Yeah,
Exactly.
okay, yeah.
So I could not imagine her trying to figure out what the heck to do right there. That's amazing. Oh my gosh.
I wonder if there's a symbol they can use that indicates I have no idea what was just said.
I think it's just to shrug your shoulders and put the palms up. Like your guess is as good as mine. Be glad you're deaf. You can't try. You don't have to try to decipher this.
Well, I had picked up a couple of signs over time, and one of them where you kind of slap your hands together in front of you like that. That means whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm pretty sure that's what's they're signing beer brewed here. Whatever.
Yeah.
And then the sign for Great Lakes.
And by the way, for those who are like, Mike, you just said something offensive when you're like, I said, be glad you're deaf so you don't have to hear this. The deaf people are not listening to the radio. I just want to point that out. Because somebody cringes every time somebody makes a joke.
You're not wrong.
Oh, jeez. Okay, so a little bit earlier.
It's really Friday.
I know.
I'm feeling it.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so the national news coming out of Jefferson City, our very own Nick Schroer. You can hear Sunday night at what time is he on? At 8, I think it is 8 o'clock.
8 to 10.
8 to 10.
Where he stands and fights.
Stand and fight with Senator Nick Schroer.
He stands in duels.
He filed and they're talking about they filed a bill, which I guess it is. It's a proposal to change the rules in the state Senate to allow for duels.
Right. It's going to codify how this works. I love it. I love every aspect of it, actually. The more we talk about it, the more I like it.
Because somebody out there is going, they're like, how dare you? That's you're literally calling for people to be killed.
It's calling for violence.
Yeah, no, well, maybe, but no.
Yeah.
It's not because with his rules, he says that you go through a formal process with a witness and then you agree on the weapons.
Right.
So you put out the question, Gabe. You said, okay, what would be your weapon of choice that you would agree to?
Right.
Because we went around the room here, and you, of course, said
lightsabers. Clearly.
And you said the Nerf guns with the little darts. I said the Nerf bow and arrow. And then are these from Facebook?
Yes.
Okay, so Kathy says dueling umbrellas like they do at steampunk festivals.
Oh, there you go. You're not wrong. That happens at steampunk festivals. Now, some of these umbrellas, though, have little gadgets
I was
on them.
going to say, those can mess you up.
You got to be careful.
And Barry, this one's creative. Barry on Facebook says he wants a duel with jarts.
Jarts. I remember jarts.
Yeah.
You remember? Yeah, see, we're the generation that grew up with jarts. You don't mess with us.
That's right. Some of the others that came in, let's see here. Blues Nut was CO2 pepperball gun.
Yes, that's a very creative one because the thing is getting hit with those, first of all, it hurts. Because it's kind of like a paintball gun.
Oh yeah.
But then second of all, you get the pepper in your face. That's not a fun time. That's a lasting bad time.
And there were a few who said paintball guns.
Yes, the paintball guns. And that's really good because it has the kind of impact of a firearm, but nobody dies.
Right. And if you've ever been hit by a paintball gun, it stings.
It's gonna bruise you.
It'll leave a welt.
Yes.
It'll leave a bruise.
Yes,
it really
absolutely.
will. So, but the point that, and you picked up on this, Gabe,
Yeah.
was yes, is Nick trolling people? Yes.
Clearly.
Because he is really good at that. But he's also making a bigger point.
Yes.
And that point.
Oh, that point is sorry. I'm okay. See, anybody watching, they've noticed that my eyes have been up above Mike's head the entire show. And that's because for somebody put on How It's Made. This show, How It's Made, on one of the screens here next to our clock, and I've been watching him make all kinds.
He has been staring at this thing. I'm like,
I'm an engineer. I'm so fascinated by these.
Like, Gabe, my eyes are down here. My eyes are down here.
Now it just so happens that right now they're making a LARPing sword. So people hitting each other with play weapons is kind of. It's on brand with what we're talking about right here. But look, the larger point of the idea of dueling is that. Look, you have to take responsibility for the way you approach people, the way you speak to people, the things that come out of your mouth about people. When you impugn somebody's character, when you talk about how they are a no good SO something or other, and on the House floor or in the Senate, we're not talking about trading Twitter jabs here. This isn't online faux fighting. We're talking about we're talking about real people, real people's feelings, and having to deal with these people on a regular basis in a working relationship. And there ought to be a cost to when you cross a line. Mm-hmm. And online, there's no cost. You just, at worst, you'll get blocked.
Right.
And then they'll talk about you from behind the box, like, oh, I had to block this person because, okay, that's not a real.
Take that.
That's not a real penalty.
Take that. John X 1034283. Yeah, take that.
Yeah, exactly. I got him. Well, no, not really. They didn't really pay a price. All you're doing is kind of protecting your mental health. But in real life, if you had to, let's say, answer a duel challenge. Now it's a little more real, right? So the idea he's trying to get behind is that don't let your mouth write checks that you're behind can't cash. Mm-hmm. Right. You know what I mean? So let's all return to civility, because civility was in place because duels were on the table. I mean, let's be real. Back in the day, civility was backed up by fists and firearms. Yeah. That's kind of what was underpinning the idea of being gentlemanly with one another, because if you weren't, you might catch an armored, fist across your face at some point.
Well, and also it was not uncommon in Europe back in the days when a formal, duel would be done for the point to be made. And both people fired in the air.
Right.
Nobody got hurt, but you made your point, and
right.
you defended your integrity.
Right. And the offending person was reminded that, excuse me, sir, but the next time you speak to me, it will not be in the tone with which you use on the morrow.
That's right. Now, are we saying that Nick or anybody else is saying, listen, if you tick me off enough, I'm going to shoot you? No. That's not what Nick's saying.
That's not even what saying.
But it's been funny watching the national media just lose their mind over this.
It's so fun.
And I'm like, well done, Nick. You did it.
The pro clutching. We need to get them all some fainting couches so that as they walk in and they speak about these things, that they can properly fall back into a pearl clutch position. Oh, my dear sensibilities have been so offended by the violence proposed.
Because silence is violence.
But
words are violence.
But yeah, words are also violence, and inaction is violence.
Right.
But you can't take certain actions, or else it's violence.
I'm glad it's Friday. All right, Flashback Friday. At that, a lot of comments here. Stell, people are digging the Flashback Friday pop music.
Good to hear.
So keep them coming. Let us know.
This is more like Flash Dance Friday.
That's right. So throughout the week, you can send in your suggestions. What do you want to hear on Flashback Friday? Because we're doing it right now on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 101.9, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Are
Are you tired of the corruption and special interest groups controlling our state and cities? Are you tired of yelling at your TV or your car radio because important issues like crime, homelessness, education, and taxes are being blocked by special interest groups? It is time for Missourians to declare our independence from special interest groups corrupting our government. Join the Freedom Principle Mo today, and you can be an integral part of creating the largest statewide member-led organization fighting for America and Missouri First policies. The Freedom Principle Mo is fighting to put the voters back in charge of our government. The Freedom Principle Mo has been a leading voice in Jefferson City, fighting for our police and making our community safer, exposing corruption at the local level and in Jefferson City. It's time to start making our elected officials start listening to us and finally start passing legislation that protects our freedom and protects Missouri's values. Visit our website at freedomprinciplemmo.org and join today and make 2024 the year we get something done.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. Doug and Safe Money Radio is on 3 times every weekend, but in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com or call 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233. Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP. Member FINRA and SIPC.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Forget the D.C. swamp. What about the Missouri swamp? A supermajority wasted every legislative session. We'll talk to Susie Moore, redstate.com about that Friday at 10:05.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's Friday!
Just heard that promo there from Vic Porcelli, who's going to be here in about 10 minutes or so with our good friend Susie Moore. He made a really good point in that.
Oh, yeah?
Supermajority wasted year after year after year after year after year.
Absolutely.
I remember when the Republicans took control of the state legislature, House and Senate, they were so used to being beaten down by being in the minority with the Democrats running the state. And I remember when the Democrats ran the state. And they got so much stuff done. And then Jay Nixon was elected. And he was vetoing stuff right and left. And so you know what they did? They overrode everything he did.
Yeah. They were like, screw you, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah. So that conversation coming up today.
I feel like it had a lot to do with the leadership in place at the time.
Yeah, I mean, that was, all honesty, that was Tim Jones.
That was Tim
Speaker
Jones.
of the House at the time.
Absolutely.
And, okay, so Cindy O'Loughlin, who said yesterday that she would like to see Bill Eigel expelled from the state Senate, is going to be on with Randy Tobler tomorrow at 8:10.
Hopefully he can get her to explain her reasoning for wanting to override the will of the people to have him in place because he made her mad, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there are valid reasons to expel somebody from an elected position.
Absolutely.
And it's happened.
Yes.
And it's happened in Missouri. This ain't one of them.
It doesn't feel like it.
No. And then, of course, Bill Eigel is going to be on this program at 7:35 on Monday as well. So you want to hear both sides of it, you just listen to this radio station because this is what we do. This is what we go.
How we roll.
A lot of comments on the bump music. The Flashback Friday was Stell's idea.
It's perfect.
It was great. So I have a feeling you're going to be sorting through a lot of requests this week.
I think so.
That are coming in.
Yeah.
And if you notice with the 80s, because like you had Flashdance, and then last week it was something from Beverly Hills Cop. I think it was Harold Faltmeyer. And so it's kind of reminded, when I was in high school in the 80s, that it was the soundtrack. The movie soundtrack was like one of the big stuff. I mean, the Miami Vice soundtrack, if I still had that, I would put that in my car and just drive home listening to the Miami Vice soundtrack today.
Yeah.
That was such good stuff.
Soundtracks are still a big enough deal if you do them right. Because I remember, and going back to my nerddom here, Guardians of the Galaxy, the first Guardians of the Galaxy, especially, because it was a collection of classic songs. It as a soundtrack basically charted.
Yeah, okay.
So it's kind of wild. This is a best of a certain period of time collection, and it worked as a movie soundtrack. I mean, of course, there was original score music kind of mixed in there, but
there were certain gems in there.
Yeah,
like LSD Lakeshore Drive from Eliota Haynes and Jeremiah, and I can't tell you how many people asked me about that, and because it's talking about Lakeshore Drive. in Chicago, but people interpreted it as LSD.
The drug.
yeah.
And,
the drug, yeah.
You know what? If you're driving down Lakeshore Drive and you're on LSD, you got some issues.
I've driven on Lakeshore Drive. No. Now, how about this? What would be one of the best soundtracks that had no original score for the movie that was a collection of other songs? Because I know which one I think it is.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know.
I would say Sleepless in Seattle.
Oh,
okay.
All those classic old-timey songs.
Yeah.
From Jimmy Durante to Durante and Durante. Let me say it right. Jimmy Durante and so many other,
like Dean Martin, Sammy Davis.
Yeah, I was
those kind of...
Dizzy Gillespie.
Yeah, I was gonna say they went back with the classics.
Yeah,
there
they went to
didn't they? Wow.
Yeah, that was.
It's been a long time since I even thought of that movie.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, the soundtrack. I mean, it's a chick flick. It's fine. As chick flicks go, it's a good movie.
And it's a classic in the genre, I
Right,
think. Along with You've Got Mail, which is completely outdated.
Exactly,
and it's awesome.
You've Got Mail
because of that.
But what about When Harry Met Sally?
When Harry Met Sally,
yes.
that's what they call a super classic.
That's an awesome one. But then the other ones, I mean, you look
like
at
Wedding Singer. Did Wedding Singer?
With Adam Sandler. That was early 2000s.
It's a neo classic.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like how Elf is now a classic Christmas movie, right?
Because it's 20-some years old.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, you know what's really weird on those like Christmas movies? The Grinch. The little girl who played the Cindy Lou Who.
Yeah. We're talking about the Jim Carrey version.
The Jim Carrey version.
Yep.
She's now a heavy metal singer.
Yes, I think I saw this. I think I saw that in one of those "Where Are They Now" things that they have on the clickbait stories that they have. I actually had to click on that one.
Yeah, she's and she's good.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at her, you wouldn't notice.
Wait,
you wouldn't make the connection.
Weren't she that cute little girl who did the thing?
That band's music can be pretty dark.
Yeah, you got to be careful.
I mean, that's one of those where it's like you need to probably resolve some things.
It reminds me of how the voice of Bambi, the guy who voiced Bambi in the original movie, was a World War II veteran, and
Really?
he managed to keep that a secret from all of his. His people.
I would,
because he's getting so much ribbing for being the voice of Bambi if that gets out.
Yeah,
but he managed to do it.
Well, good for him. All right, Vic Porcelli coming your way here in just about 5.5 minutes. Right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL. Cindy O'Loughlin, Randy Tobler show at 8:10 tomorrow. Bill Eigel on this show at 7:35 on Monday.
Yeah, that way you get both sides of the argument. Make your decisions from there.
And no duel is needed.
No duel needed.
At least not yet.
Not today. We'll see what the seconds have to say.
Yeah.
So perhaps my work here is done. Perhaps it's time that I moved on to a place where there's stuff to do. Stuff to do.
This week on News Talk STL.
Iowa, thank you. We love you all.
I don't think he needs to be the next president. I'm going to be the next president.
The big night is going to be in November when we take back our country. We've got our ticket punched out of Iowa. We will go on to get the Republican nomination.
News, analysis, and opinion.
It's about